know nothing about me.
All right, here we are.
I feel like it's been ages since we've done a Monday night. When's the last time we did an actual Monday night? I can't remember.
4 Mondays ago? 3 Mondays ago?
Last week you were
Okay, so last week we ran the episode with
you were cavorting with a famous artist, so I ran the episode with James.
Gotcha. The week before that, it was different. So it was just the week before that.
Oh, okay. It just this summer feels so long.
It does. It really does.
And yet, never long enough because time flies by too quickly.
For real. Well, it is flying by tonight as well because we have 2 guests, which is great always. And both of these guests are fantastic actors. But they're also really good writers. And I'm really excited about having them kind of cross over in the middle. For folks who are just joining us, this is SideKick Power Hour. My name is Nakia.
I'm Joshua R. Pangborn, and if you missed it, this is what the show is. So
that's right. And if you really want one of those shirts, you can get one over at sidekicksupermarket.com. Well, we do have a big show tonight, obviously, as we do anytime we have guests. I feel like it's a big show. But Chris has never been on the show, so that's always fun.
Yeah, Chris has never been on the show. I don't, but he's watched our shows, so
that's true. We've seen him comment on things, I think.
Yeah, so this will be a nice synergy and a nice crossover, I guess, if you will.
Yes, for sure. Tell us what's going on in the world of SideKick Productions this week.
So much, Nakia. My goodness. First of all, this was a very busy weekend for filming for our new project. I was filming on Saturday and Sunday. And that is, I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot. I know it a lot from everyone, but what we do at SideKick Productions is we typically only film 1 day a week because everyone else has a day job Monday through Friday usually. So 2 days of filming on the weekends. I am very grateful and very thankful that people gave up both of their weekend days to film with us. That's the first and biggest thing that I have to appreciate and say thank you for. The other big thing is we heard from the New Jersey Web Fest, Nakia. Everyone knows that our it's an anticipation right there. Everyone knows New Jersey Web Fest is our first festival that ever accepted us. Way back in who knows when 2016, but 2017 actually. Sorry. It was a wonderful festival to go to. We've been there every year. We're the only group, I think, that has been every year, and I can continue to say that because we are going back for the 5th year in a row with 3 projects this year. So we submitted 4 projects and 3 of them were accepted, and that is pretty awesome. The first, our music video, Man with the Midas Touch. That will be in there for the music video category. And then, as always, our beloved Skeleton Crew has been accepted and is going to be there for the web series category. And third and finally, our trailer for A Taste of Youth was accepted. So the movie is not done yet, but the trailer's there and it's out and hopefully going to win awards and get some eyes on it. And then I'm really excited about that. I mean, this is the first festival for A Taste of Youth in any way, shape, or form. So Congratulations to us.
Yes, for sure. Um, I wanted to ask the viewers at home, people watching and listening right now, is anybody else experiencing Josh breaking up?
I
Because
and
on
or Nakia's. If you're in the comments, tell me if you can.
yeah,
Because Nakia.
which one of us is actually working? Because mine is looks clear and Josh's looks really blurry and choppy, and I can't even hear him say everything he's saying. So he's falling apart. Okay, so it's not my side. So Josh, you need to take a step back and then come back in. Hey, is that Ference? Hey, Ference. Oh, Ference is probably gosh, I've known Ference for the better part of I bet 20 years because I've been with Robert for 21 and I immediately bumped into David and Ference like probably the first year I was in town, year and a half at the most. Um Yay. Yes, it is great to see you too, Ference. Uh and David, I just saw David. David was at Dad Fest. David, do you live in Palm Springs now? Because I feel like you're at all the Western exposures that I go to. So um but I did have a good time at Dad Fest for anybody that's curious. The performance went really well. The DJ set went really well. Um there are some videos that I will be sharing at some point. I realized today, like, God, I am just so behind on sharing things, but I'm also like behind on a lot of other stuff, like Demon Doctor Audio. So, um, let's see, is Joshua still frozen to y'all? Oh, yeah, Joshua's just kind of coming in and out still. Okay, well, we are here together. I think. Joshua, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Am I here or not?
Right now, you are.
Well, for now, can we ever be here? But I'm here.
Joshua Farron says you have a great smile, and that is really true.
Well, thank you so much. If I can't, at least if it freezes, hopefully it freezes on my smile.
Okay, so uh, we've got Chris Grace and Mark-Eugene Garcia tonight. We just found out that three of the four things we submitted to New Jersey Web Fest were accepted.
Yes.
But I think we should talk about like the fact that this is the second year in a row we've submitted Demon Doctor, and they don't seem into it, especially considering how like they've awarded Sidekick and you separately for like doing the most, like kind of stuff, like
Well, also Demon Doctors won 2 awards at the festival. Like
right,
you won music for it,
right,
and Barbara won supporting performer for it. So
yeah.
it's really odd. And also, I just love Demon Doctor, and I think it's a really, really well done show. Like it's just really
Come on,
well.
New Jersey.
I don't know what that is. If you're in the comments and you watch Demon Doctor, please tell us how much you love it. If you don't watch it, well, then get on it because it's there for the taking.
Is it? Well, now I'm curious how Ference found, excuse me, how Ference found us. Um, and let us know in the comments as well how you came to find out about this show, how you came to find out about Sidekick or Joshua. What was it that led you there? Was it like, something that somebody shared on their Facebook? Was it like something that somebody shared on Tumblr that was like a questionable gif of something or
Well, at least Chunkahedron likes Demon Doctor. So much so that Chunkahedron is building his DD tarot card shirt collection.
Well, we've got some really cool tarot that have been designed.
There are currently 3 available for you on our website, SideKick Supermarket. One of me, one of Nakia and all his red glory, his red rocket glory, and no, that means something very different. Never mind. And Mark-Eugene Garcia as well. And that is also me, but that is not me on my T-shirt. We should get that of me as on a T-shirt. Though.
Where did this come from, though?
Oh, I added it. Because we talked about Halloween costumes 2 weeks ago, and I never got a chance to talk about it. But I popped it in there. That's
you
me.
You guys, you're too cute in this Donatello outfit.
That's a homemade Donatello outfit my grandmother made. My grandmother used to make all my Halloween costumes for me.
This is incredible. My brother would freak out.
It was a really, really cool costume.
Now, did you gravitate towards Donatello because of the purple?
I gravitated towards Donatello because of the he was the nerd of the group.
This is true.
He also had the coolest weapon of the group. And also purple. I did love purple, although I don't know if I knew I liked purple as much as I do now when I was watching the show.
Are those your parents on the floor?
No, that's my sister and I.
Oh, okay.
I know it looks like some sort of like 1920s family photo. It's one of our model photos. My sister and I used to be runway models when we were younger, for the local runway fashion shows and everything.
Oh, gotcha. I was like runway model, like Paris Fashion Week.
I was at Paris Fashion Week, when I was 5. I mean, I had my very own Miranda Priestley moment. It was just so. I knew all about cerulean before anyone else knew about cerulean. It was a thing. Trust me, it was a thing. Yeah, this is a beautiful homemade costume though. It doesn't still fit me. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit taller now, so not much, by like 3 inches. But it's just those 3 inches makes it hard. So
that's great. Well, unfortunately, this banner did not make it to Western Exposure in time.
What?
Yeah, it did not. We worked so hard on it, but we waited to the last minute to send it in. It just didn't get. We didn't have time to.
Well, it'll be ready for the next one, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
I mean, you're going to be back there in October, aren't you?
I will. I was just going to say. Dad Fest was a big success. We had a lot of fun. The Meaty Bits show was fantastic, even though unfortunately Celine and Chris both got COVID and couldn't make the show.
No.
Yeah, Eric got it first, and then Celine, even though they hadn't been around each other or anything, and then Chris got it, and so he couldn't be with us, and she couldn't be with us. So it was just 2 comics and me. And
the first time then.
Yeah, and it was fine. It was really, really cool. We had a good time. Everybody laughed. Everybody, enjoyed themselves. The staff at Runway are always really, really great. And Eric, the CCBC manager, is really great. So
that's good.
Yeah, in fact, I just extended our stay in October by an extra day, so we're going to come in on Wednesday now and leave on Monday.
So what am I performing in October?
That Saturday night.
So I'm performing that Saturday night.
Yeah, are you gonna premiere your stand-up set?
I was going to do a stand-up singing set. I've got a whole musical stand-up set that I'm working on.
I'm ready.
A nice tight 10.
A nice tight 10. Okay. All right. Well, what are our comments?
This will never happen because Nakia will never let me be one of his shows. So
I
feel like Lucy and Ricky right here.
If you will prepare a stand-up set, I will book you there.
What if I prepare a singing set?
If you will prepare a singing set, I will book you there.
You heard it here, folks.
Chris and I are the creative force behind Meaty Bits, so we each get to book people that we like. That's kind of part of the deal. So
you heard it here.
So tonight, maybe you could pitch Chris on this idea.
Maybe I will.
Yeah. All right. So I'll be back there for Meaty Bits again. For the first, there's 2 weekends of Western exposure this time, and
Oh,
the first weekend is that first weekend in October. I don't think we'll be doing one the second weekend. It's more of it's a
is
little
that
bit.
the Halloween one?
No. The Halloween one's the first weekend. The
Oh,
second one is more like Halloween on ecstasy. No, Halloween on what's like overdrive, like super duper like naughty.
so sexy Halloween. So Halloween.
Yeah. But like I guess the emphasis is being put on, like if you're just coming for the sex, then the
You still have to wear a costume.
the second weekend is probably better for you.
Gotcha.
Um,
So this is more of this. So if I go to one, I should go to the first one because that's more fun for the Halloween stuff.
well, the Halloween stuff I think will stay up for both weekends. It makes no sense for them to take it down in the middle.
Gotcha.
I just think that the second weekend, the focus is that it's going to be even, kind of more sexy than the first weekend.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And we should have Wes on before
We should.
the next one.
Yeah, so actually it's called Western Exposure Fall Weekend 2 XXL, a back-to-back double shot of exposure. Not for the tame. This weekend is for the pigs, pups, pumpers, leathermen, and all the kinkiest bears to come explore their fetishes and discover some new ones. So
I don't think I've heard the expression pumper before. Is it what I think it is?
I would hope so, because I can't imagine it be what else it could be.
Well, I imagine it's somebody who puts like
Penis pump on, right?
Oh, I was thinking something completely different.
What
I
do you
was
think?
thinking somebody who put like a hose down their throat into their stomach so they could pump up their stomach and make it larger.
Oh, like Dig Dug.
Yes, exactly. Because inflation is a thing. So, well, no, inflation's a fetish.
No, I know, but like inflation is a thing in this economy.
No, inflation is at a 12. Inflation is at the lowest it's been.
I know,
It's like
I
a
know.
12-month drop right now. It's at 3% right now. I've been reading it all over the Twitters.
Oh yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a look at these comments. Wait, hang on a second, because I've got a joiner here. Let's say hello to Baker.
Is it a pumper?
No, she's not a bumper. Baker, what are you doing? I don't need you chewing your toy in here. Can you say hi? Oh, she's telling the secret on you, Josh.
Well, she is a nosy, gossipy girl.
Mm-hmm. She's a real sweet baby, though. We love her to death, and
You can be sweet and gossipy.
yes, that's right. Yes. Okay, can you get down? You can play with your hot dog, but not in here.
Again, I think that means something different than what people are thinking.
This is her hot dog.
It looks really flat.
Well, it's meant to be.
No three-dimensional toys for her?
It's
What
not.
is
It's not a 2D.
What is this? Paper Mario?
Oh my god! Have you seen the internet when the Elephant Mario came out?
Oh yes. Yeah, oh, I did. I saw
Yeah.
all of.
We talked about that with Hamish.
No, we didn't. Hamish talked about it on his Twitter.
Oh yeah, right. I've seen.
He even thought that pumping was more like about weightlifting, like pumping
Oh
iron.
sure, yeah.
But you're talking specifically about pumpers, okay? Or maybe it's a typo and it's Pampers.
That's cute.
Should we call you that from now on, Musical Papa?
Musical Papa? You're more of the musical Papa than I am, to be honest.
No, I know. I'm as in musicals, as in musical theater, but you are more of the musical. Plus, I'm not a daddy, so.
Oh, okay, Ference. So Ference was friends with Joshua on Facebook, and probably.
And I pop up everywhere on Facebook, so.
Yeah.
Because I have a million different things.
The Big Boy Project was looking up a bear web series on YouTube and popped up. Oh, that's really cool.
I'm glad to hear that because we were talking about that earlier today, actually, about how we don't pop up sometimes on things.
Yeah, guys, if you go to DuckDuckGo and type in SideKick Productions YouTube, like there are a bunch of other SideKick Productions that have YouTubes that are they're not like terrible, but they're not
They're not us.
they're not us, and actually, I think our stuff is more popular than their stuff.
It is. Well, the one that you sent me is more popular than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that this is a popularity contest.
No, it's not. But it is a popularity contest on the ranking of a Google search. You know.
Yeah.
So that's who else? Anybody else have a? How did you find us?
Well, Mark-Eugene found us because through knowing a bunch of bears and chubs.
Sure. Small world. It's hard to do that.
And cultural osmosis.
Ooh, I like that. Never heard that before.
I like that. That means we're in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
That's my goal, to be in the bear zeitgeist.
For sure. Well, our first guest should be here.
And he's in the bear zeitgeist.
For sure. Should be here any moment.
Well, until he is, you got me.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll whip out some songs and start practicing my set for you. No, we're not going to do that tonight. But that is it. I mean, we'll probably. Do you think we'll talk about the strike at all with Chris here?
Oh, I'm sure we will. Yeah, I'm sure.
We're doing great, Blotchu Bear. We are a non-union production company, so we are not affiliated with any of these studios, which are being struck against. So. Of course it affects us, but it affects us in a different way than it affects people who are in SAG and the Writers Guild. So
yeah, I mean, there are a couple of people that you've seen in SideKick Productions that are
SAG
AFTRA members now and could not currently work if they wanted to stay that way. So
yeah.
But yes, thank you for asking and thank you for being here, Blitcha Bear.
But it is I think that might be what might been bringing me down this, besides my day job, which is very stressful during the summer. But I just reading all of these sad horror stories have been really bringing me down.
It's not a good system.
All of these stories from like seeing the people post about Orange is the New Black.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of those actresses, not most, I shouldn't say most, but many of those actresses had to have a second job just to be able to afford the taxi to get to set.
Yeah.
I mean, that is horrible.
Yeah. All right. Well, we were going to take a quick break with a little commercial, and we will be right back after this.
Sound is speeding, cameras are rolling. This is day one, take one of...
Why do you have two different cameras?
What?
Oh god, this footage is gonna look like shit. Got a crucial audition, and it is imperative that everything go flawlessly. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
What if we said no?
Are you okay?
We have a fabulous guest for you today.
Yeah, you want to talk about Emmy? She's great.
So glad that Emmy's making a comeback. Although I suppose, did she really go anywhere? She's just been sort of bumbling around, hasn't she?
Do you know who I am?
You are a has-been from the 90s, Penny Hart.
She is brilliant, strong, and she is so humble.
I'm the glue that holds Emmy together. So without me, she's just kind of like a fart in the wind.
Felix, you slept with my mom?
No.
Sex in my 60s is the best of my life.
What the are you doing?
You have chlamydia and gonorrhea.
Well, I already know that. What's the good news?
Emmy, you need these eye drops because of your drug problem. Look at how red your eyes are.
Oh my god.
I'm overcome with emotion too!
Wow, that's a nice bra.
I am so proud of you for exploring your sexuality one micro-orgasm at a time.
Can you make me feel good? Please, can you just make me feel good? Please.
Oh my god! How?
Come back later, and we'll do the scene again. Out of my way.
And as always, you don't have to wait because you can stream all of season 1 of The Art of Blowing It right now at theartofblowingittheseries.com. That is theartofblowingittheseries.com. Or you can just always head over to sidekickproductions.org. My name is Nakia, and this is Joshua R. Pangborn. And together we make up this little show called SideKick Power Hour. And tonight we have a very special guest with us. I'd like to welcome to the show my friend and his first time joining SideKick Power Hour, Chris Grace.
Hello. Oh my goodness. Look how big my face is.
We like to keep it big here, so...
We really
What's
did.
up, guys?
Here, let's put you in the middle then.
I'm moving everywhere, all around.
It's a good thing we need a Dramamine before the show, so...
Wait, I can put a little more light on me just so people don't miss all this.
Right. Yeah.
You're in California, aren't you?
There we go.
You're the earliest of the three of us, but you look like you were at nighttime there.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
That's your home studio, right?
This is my where I do everything, where all the magic is made. I don't know what. Mostly where I play video games and get mad. That's where it happens.
I mean, that is magical to some people. So
yeah.
Well, welcome to SideKick Power Hour. As I said, everybody at home, I've known Chris now for probably, I think we said last week when we were talking about it, it was like 11 or 12 years.
Probably. What would have been the year after your first voice year?
No. It would have been the year because it was when I was on tour with the voice. So that would have been 2011. It's 2020. So 12 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just flew by.
It really has. It really has. But when I met you, you were living in New York.
Yes. That's also when I saw a play that Josh wrote.
Yes. And directed. Okay. Yes.
I was trying to think of what it was. Was it about Oscar Wilde?
Yeah, it was the Oscar Wilde play. So it was my show Sodomite, The Love of Oscar Wilde.
That's right.
Wow, why have I never heard of this?
Well, you should have. It's on the Patreon. You can watch both parts 1 and part 2.
Oh, really?
The SideKick Power Hour, SideKick Productions play Sodomite, The Love of Oscar Wilde.
That is so cool. I did not know that, and I am a member of the Patreon.
It's also where I met Stuart Kichak.
And Stuart was great in that play.
Stuart was great in that. The only thing not great in that was his accent, but he'll agree with me on that. So.
And that's the tea.
Wow. The timing was... Wait, that was him gossiping about himself.
And that's the tea.
He's a sassy fella.
Oh my goodness.
Nakia loves his gifts.
Nakia's given a real morning radio vibe here.
Totally. It's so funny. I had lunch today with a program director from our local radio station here, and it never fails that every time that we're together, I somehow manage to slip in like, hey, if you need anybody to fill in on the radio, just call me anytime. They often do. And I miss being on the radio. I worked at 3 separate radio stations over the course of my life. And I was Nick Ray at one. You're listening to Nick Ray on 99.3, the hot one, that kind of thing. So I miss it, though. It was fun.
That's almost like an anagram of your name.
Almost, yeah. They wouldn't let me use Nakia. That was too ethnic.
Why?
Too ethnic for them. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's.
I never processed Nakia as being. I mean, I actually never thought of it as ethnic in general, but I also never suggested a certain ethnicity to me.
Right. Well, a lot of people have over the years. They want to say, "Oh, you're Hawaiian or you're
Japanese." Maybe.
No. What's Samoan?
I
get Samoan a lot. Yeah,
I could see that.
If I heard it and I didn't see it, I might think Japanese. I can see that. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it is a Japanese name as well. In Japan, it means petalless flower.
That's about right.
That you've been plucked, my friend.
And then
he loves me. He loves me not.
He loves me too much.
And then where my parents got it from is a Native American name, and that is like keeper of secrets or like trustworthy or loyal, So, and I feel like I do a pretty good job of keeping secrets. I mean, I kept my a lot of my life a secret for a long time. So, yeah.
Also could be a Finnish name.
Ooh,
like Nokia.
Right. Which again is like the easiest way for years to tell people how to say or pronounce my name. I'm just like, oh, it's like Nokia, but with an A. And they're like, oh,
And now it's going to be really popular for years to come because of the Black Panther films. So
the Black Panther stuff, I was technically born before Nakia, the character in Black Panther, because that came much later than 75. So I don't know I forget what the African. There is a specific African country that the name also means something there too, and I can't remember what that one is.
I just want to say someone in the chat has pointed out the connections between Finnish and Japanese, which I have noticed many times as well.
That would be something Chonkahedron would notice too. Chonkahedron is actually, you should look up Chonkahedron when you are in the UK, Chris.
Okay.
He is based out of Edinburgh, I believe.
What?
So,
I'm going to be there for a month in August. Let's say hi.
I'm so glad that you brought us to there, because we definitely want to
lovely fusion right here.
Yeah, we want to talk a lot about why you're going there. So we're going to kind of work our way backwards, Chris.
Okay. Is Chonkahedron a bear?
He is.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder what his connections are to the bears that I know in Edinburgh that love to drink.
Wait, a Scottish person loves to drink?
I mean, they go all out.
That doesn't
Especially they go pretty farther than me.
Wow. Okay, well maybe he is. We'll find out.
Actually, you flyered him for Baby Wants Candy before.
Oh well, that's old school then, because I haven't flyered in a while. I'll be flyering this year for sure.
You will? No, what's changed?
Well, only because when I my first year in Edinburgh. So Edinburgh is the largest arts festival in the world. It has this year, I think there's like 3,300 shows at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year.
Wow, that is massive.
And so really, one of the most effective ways to get out the word on your show out, is to hand out flyers. And it's crazy. Like, it is a weird bubble where people walk around and they actually want to get flyers from you, because they don't know they're just overwhelmed by choice. So they want you to tell them like what to go see. So my first year in 2012, I went and probably had to flyer like 4 to 5 hours a day out on the street, just handing out stuff to people. And there's like different approaches. Like some groups just like kind of shotgun as you're passing by, just throwing flyers at you. But our group has always been like, we kind of try to talk to people more, and tell them what the show's about. And so if Chonkahedron is a bear, very likely I was like, let me talk to this guy for a while about my show. Although he doesn't say if he came to see the show or not. I'll note that.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
We have Jim in the audience just saying hi, Nakia. So.
Oh, hi, Jim.
Jim's been chatting us up I believe Jim's been chatting us up in the Discord a lot lately.
Listen, so. Nobody chats more in the Discord than Jimmy McGee.
Oh, Chonkahedron confirmed he did see the show.
Ah, good, wonderful.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, I'll be back there this August with 4 shows.
Okay,
so
now wait a minute. Hang on.
In 4 different
All
ways.
this time I've been thinking you were only going for the show that I saw you workshop in Austin.
No.
Which is Chris Grace as Scarlett Johansson as Chris Grace.
It's just called Chris Grace as Scarlett Johansson.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it gets into the weeds after that. But
right. Yeah.
No, it's funny. I like so Chris Grace as Scarlett Johansson is a solo show that I'm producing, and it's like almost really not financially feasible to just do one show, because I'm gonna get paid to do 2 other shows, and then I'm doing a stand-up show too. So I'm doing my solo show, I'm doing 2 improv shows and a stand-up show every day from August 2nd to 28th in Edinburgh.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, if you love theater, you should go. Josh, you should pop over for like a week and just see stuff. It's crazy. Like, you just see so much the weirdest shows you've ever heard of, some of the worst things you've ever seen. And then you'll just randomly go see something that's incredible. It's like I've discovered so much from just being there.
Six the musical is from that, correct?
I saw Six the musical for free in a tent, and it was actually like the best cast. I saw it later on the West End, and the cast that I saw was the best, I thought.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like it's cool to like see stuff when it starts. Oh, the most embarrassing thing is that in I want to say 16 or 17, we brought a show there. And there's a board that they put up that says like, these are the shows that sold out today. And so like, it's great. If your name goes on the board, you go take a photo because you're like, yeah, we sold out today. And so I have a photo of us being like, look, our show sold out. And when you are producing a show at one of the like the big companies, you get a pass that lets you go see all the other shows in that company for free. So in this photo is me going like, hey, look at that. And like 2 names above it is Hannah Gadsby and Nanette. That I could have seen for free before anybody knew what it was. But you know, of course now then it became a sensation. And this year my show is in the same room as Hannah Gadsby's show. Like they like to tell you in each venue like what are the famous shows that have been in each slot.
Oh, nice.
So no pressure, but
well, I look forward to the picture you sell out. So
yeah, well, hopefully I will sell it. I would like to just sell it a couple times so I can just take that photo. But my place is 87 seats, so it'll be difficult.
What about the stand-up show?
The stand-up show is me with some other people, so like it's sort of like a group effort where we will go out like the couple of hours before our show and like talk to people. There's these beer gardens that people hang out in, so you can kind of like go chat them up and tell them. And that actually has been very effective. Like they've done pretty well. But it's different when you have like 10 people and we're like all going out and flyering for the show, whereas like when it's a solo show, it's like it's been interesting. This is my first year really doing a solo show, and it's like it's fascinating. It's all on you. There's no one else to really. I mean, I could delegate some things, but stuff like I got to get the flyers printed. Like I just sent off to print 5,000 flyers and 500 posters for the show. So I just sent off $400 for that in Scotland.
Right, because you're buying it locally and then
there's a local printer that we use for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just interesting how like you do wish that somebody would kind of come in and be like, I'll take care of all that stuff. But even like pretty established people they're still doing a lot of it themselves. So
I mean, who else would do it for you?
Well, I mean, it's funny. In the UK, they have this model where I could hire somebody for about like 3,000 pounds to handle everything for me.
Gotcha.
So where they would like go find the venue for me, they would design my poster. And it's like I don't think it's as much a thing in the US where like if you were good at that stuff, you could just say like, hey, you want to do a play? Like you hire me. Like they think of producers there as being like the person that gets all the stuff done, as opposed to like finding investors.
Right. Gotcha.
Whereas here, I think it's like, oh, I just want someone to give me a bunch of money.
Right.
I literally had somebody message me today on Instagram saying, hey, do you know any producers who might want to get an IMDb credit and something, because this show needs some producers. And I'm like, wait, do you want producers to like help do things or to like give you money? And they're like, oh, to give you money. And I'm like, well, if I knew them, I wouldn't be giving them to you. I would be giving them for myself.
Yeah, I've had a couple run-ins with this experience because, like, so this is my first time that I've ever like tried to raise my own money for my own show, which has been really interesting. Which I'm sure you guys have more experience with, but like, I am really proud of the show. So actually, I've been very kind of. Not ruthless, but I've been just like, I have no qualms right now about like asking people to give me money to help do the show, because I'm like really proud of the show and I want people to see it. So I've never been such a cold caller in my life, or like a person that texts people being like, hey, give me some money for this play. And I've been pleasantly surprised by how many people actually were genuinely like, oh my God, thank you for telling me. I heard you're doing it, but I forgot you were having a Kickstarter. And like that surprised me. I really thought that like people would be like, feel like I was nagging them. But to your point, Josh, I had run-ins with some producers, and I'll just recount what I think is a gross interaction with a theater producer, which was he's a friend of mine, and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing a Kickstarter, and he's a millionaire. He's inherited family wealth. He's never worked a day in his life, but he likes to produce theater. So I was like, "Hey, I'm doing this Kickstarter," and he's like, I only produce commercial shows, and I'm looking for a Tony," and I was like, "What do you mean commercial?" He's like, "Well, the prospect of a return, and the possibility of winning a Tony." And I was like, "Well, I'm looking in the spring about doing off Broadway maybe or whatever." But I was just like, "But you're not going to win a Tony producing my show." And then he was like, "Well, I've won 2 Tonys." And I was like, "Have you really won 2 Tonys, or have you purchased 2 Tonys?" And it was just such a difference. I was like, I can't imagine thinking about theater that way, where it's just like a scorekeeping game where I would be impressed if that person was like, "I paid for a play from its origin and I won a Tony because I nurtured the creative spirit behind a show,
Sure.
and I really believed in it and I fought for it," as opposed to being the 50th person to throw in, because you can invest in a Broadway play for $25,000.
Mhm.
Not that that's little, but to a millionaire, it's not that much. So really, a jillionaire could just put in 25 grand into every single play on Broadway, and you're guaranteed to win a Tony. It's just so weird to me. Also, you have to pay $15,000 to get the Tony statue when you win.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because they give you 2 for the whole production.
Oh, I got you.
And if you're a 15th producer on the show and you want your own Tony statue, you have to buy it from them. So,
So the actor or actress who wins in their category, that's theirs to keep.
They get it, yeah.
Yeah.
But with the plays and musicals, they'll end up having 30 people listed as producers.
Right.
So.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Well, it is a fantastic show. I did see it in person. I know that, and I think I said this on the last episode when we were talking about this with, was it Dominic Burgess we were talking about this with? Anyway, about how, I was really moved to tears afterward, because it was this weird combination of knowing you and what you're capable of, and also having a general, I guess, expectation of what you're capable of, having all of that exceeded, but then also kind of seeing what I felt was almost a theatrical personification of almost a everyday kind of thing you see backward and forward on Facebook. It's
oh, that's true. Yeah, I can see that.
And specifically with you, I can remember as there was a time on your personal Facebook, where I would see you kind of barbing with people, about stuff. And so that actually increased my understanding of a lot of things, because of the way that you were helping to kind of educate people, but also calling people out. But then when I saw it in real life in this play, it was oh, okay, now this makes even more.
Yeah, this play I do kind of get into an argument with myself about some of the issues.
It's really well done.
And yeah, I was going through a period where I would really get into arguments with people over Facebook about things, and I think these days, maybe one of the downsides of social media is just not everybody is good at forming opinions and basing things on rational thought, and maybe we don't need to hear from everybody about everything,
right?
Because I kind of do love getting into arguments with people when it's this is going to sound so, I'll just be arrogant on your show. I would get into arguments about political issues or whatever, and I would just be disappointed that people were so dumb.
Sure.
And I don't mean I almost wanted to make the argument for them. I almost wanted to be you know what? Affirmative action is bad. And let me tell you why. You're making the case so poorly. I'll just make your side of the argument as well.
Yeah. Well, social media has certainly given everyone the idea that we are far more important than what we are.
I mean, I just think like not everybody is built for like a like an articulated debate. Like not everybody is able to lay out their arguments in a way. I mean, honestly, a lot of people are not able to like read the links of the things that they paste into a thing.
Sure.
That's my favorite thing is like, oh my God, I'm going to go off on this. But like getting into these arguments where people paste a link to be like, this is why it's true. And then I love to just go into the actual link they pasted and be like, did you actually read this? Because,
right.
And people love to post like abstracts from like studies and stuff like that. And you just go read them and like,
to be fair, I did read an article this morning, actually, that Clarence Thomas did this exact thing with the affirmative action case. He cited a woman's book in the affirmative action decision but the book is completely antithetical to what he's citing, and it's completely taken out of context. And this woman is now, who is pro-affirmative action, and the book was pro-affirmative action, is horrified that her book has been used to justify getting rid of affirmative action.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice, is one of these internet buffoons.
Yeah. I think a big struggle we have right now is the difference between, like, we want the rules to be the same for everybody, but when the rules have been the same for everybody to the letter, the society is structured in such a way that the rules being exactly the same for everybody results in one group constantly being, like, advantaged over the other. So then it's like, I totally get actually why like people don't like the idea of like, if I'm a certain race, I might lose a couple points on my application to college. And so I totally get why that's like gross or feels weird, but I would just love to hear any other suggestions as to like how to solve these things. Cause I don't think the option is to just not do anything. I actually heard a thing once that was really interesting. It was like, if you have different groups and you're getting different outcomes, you only have really two choices, or maybe a hybrid of the two, but the really only two positions are either there's something in the system that is causing different outcomes for different groups, or you're saying that there's something inherently worse about one group than the other. And I don't think as America, like philosophically, we can do the second one, like, you know? So it must be something like there must be, or at least let's eliminate all the things in the system first before we decide. But sorry, I'm rambling. But the thing that and another thing that really struck me of late is that a human nature thing to do is that you treat somebody bad, and then you come up with a reason why they deserved it. And that happens a lot in our society where it's like we are shitty towards a certain group of people. We're shitty towards black people. We're shitty towards women. And then because we don't want to feel bad about ourselves, we're like, well, you know, if they just like pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, or if they just stopped doing this X or Y to each other or whatever, you know, they wouldn't be in those positions. And it's like,
well, that's why they always look for the worst photos of somebody when they're a victim. Like any of those people who were killed, any of them by the police especially during that period of pre-BLM.
Yeah.
They were always looking for the worst possible photos and mugshots of anybody to sort of justify that. Well, this was a criminal, obviously. So
yeah, it's really lame.
You heard it here first. Racism is lame.
That is our catchphrase.
It is really lame. You know, I saw some of it firsthand on this last travel thing. You know, like some people that were in front of me that were exiting the plane, I could hear him kind of like mumbling under his breath about a black person in front of us.
Jeez.
And I know, it's so wild. It really like, and I just turned around and I said, "Excuse me," and like, I don't know what he thought, but you could just see on his face like he felt like both simultaneously embarrassed and like angry at the same time.
Yeah. Right. Angry that you were like eavesdropping on his racism.
Right. Yeah. Quit listening to my racist.
How dare you? That's for me and my family.
Right. A lot of talk today about the new Jason Aldean single, which is full of racist dog whistles.
Is it really? Hey, wait. How do you feel about that Last Night song?
Wait, which one is this?
Like, is his name Morgan Wallen? Is that a guy?
Morgan Wallen, right? Yeah.
The song is literally just like last night. It's amazing to me how much country music now is literally just hip hop with a twang.
It is.
Like the arrangements are hip hop songs.
If it's either that or they go the opposite route and they go like 90s hair band. And if you listen, it sounds like 90s rock, like late 80s, early 90s hair bands in a lot of cases. It's really strange.
What's the name of the Jason Aldean song? I want to look at the lyrics.
Don't try it in a small town.
Oh my gosh, try that in a small town.
Try that in a small town. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, read the lyrics to that, and it basically sounds like a sundown.
Yeah, give me the melody, just quick.
I don't even know the melody.
Sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool? Well, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough? Well, try that in a small town. Oh my gosh. Wow. We take care of our own.
I feel like I just went back to my hometown.
Oh boy. What's your hometown?
I'm from a small town of 500 people in upstate New York. So.
Oh, whoa.
But it's so small it doesn't have a name.
It does have a name, but I don't want to shout it out and make those people feel like they're sad.
David Cross, the comedian, pointed out very astutely that people that love country music and are racist, like people that talk like this or whatever, that they're like everywhere in the country. Like people from Long Island.
I
like,
love that
country
bit.
music.
Yeah. So true.
He's like, "Fuck you! I'm from Albany."
Country music is so popular upstate where I'm from.
What sucks is I love country music. Like I think it's great.
Yeah.
There's so many little country town fairs. Like they'll bring Brad Paisley there and things like that, and all these other Toby Keith and all these very popular country folk. And
I mean, it's hard to be fans of country music because you never know when one of them is going to
out themselves as a racist.
Yeah. The only one you can trust is Ty Herndon.
Ty Herndon's a good one. Chris Hausman's a good one. Fancy Haygood.
Wait, what about Chris Stapleton?
Chris Stapleton supposedly is a good one.
Okay.
It's funny that we're talking about country music all of a sudden and like, queer, racist kind of stuff. And I just found out today that my song Dream Big was chosen by Hunter Kelly, who heads up Apple Music's Proud Radio country music section.
Cool.
And it's all gay music and stuff. He put it on one of their playlists, like their current 50 queer must listen playlist or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, this is fucking crazy.
Chunky here says Woody Guthrie is so cool.
Woody Guthrie never goes out of style.
What about Arlo though?
Arlo can he does age poorly, I think. So.
What about Garth Brooks?
Garth Brooks was okay, I think. Yeah. He's the one we all wanted to have sex with back in the day.
Did you guys see my story the other day with my Garth Brooks era story?
No.
Too funny. I'll see if I can find it before.
I must have missed that. Were you in your Garth Brooks era?
Yes. Cena Grace. He posted something about Garth Brooks, and I was like, "Don't make me post my Garth Brooks era photos." And
who are your top 5 hottest country music, Nakia?
Me?
Yes.
Well, I have to start with like 1960s, early 70s, Charlie Daniels, before everybody found out that he was a racist piece of shit.
Wow.
I mean, if you look up pictures of him from like his debut album cover, I think he looked like he was about 350, 400 pounds. And that photo could have been in like the first photo in a spread in bulk mail. Like, you know what I mean? It was very, very sexy.
By the way, I did a stand-up show in San Francisco a while ago, and I mentioned in my set, I talked about the Bear mailing list and Lynn Ludwig.
Lynn Ludwig, yes.
His photo site, and basically no one in the crowd knew what I was talking about.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if bulk mail, if people will know what that is anymore.
it's funny because we had James Unsworth on a few weeks ago from the UK, great artist, and a lot of his work he uses images from actual bulk mail magazines that he scanned in and then like manipulates. It's really, really great. You should check him out. But I would say it's him. I'd say like, again, like late 70s, early 80s, Kenny Rogers before the Botox, obviously.
Very handsome.
Randy Owen, lead singer of Alabama, which they're from my hometown of Fort Payne, Alabama.
Oh.
So I'd say like 80s Randy Owen. And then I would have to say the fifth one, country music, would be, then I'd go like current country. I'd say like Fancy Haygood. He's really adorable.
Fancy Haygood?
Yeah.
That's quite the name.
Ginger Bear from Nashville. He's done a song with like Ariana Grande and Casey Musgraves, and he had his own Apple Music show as well.
This was Who Is Fancy at one point.
Oh, is it?
I'm guessing. I don't remember.
Okay, I don't know.
Is it not? Do you remember there was a song called, or there was a artist called Who Is Fancy?
I don't know.
And it was a mystery, like who it was.
Oh.
And they made a video where they had like 6 different people lip syncing to the song. And it was and then it was a big reveal on Jimmy Fallon. And I wonder if this is the same Fancy.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Wait, it says
I'd be surprised.
Mark-Eugene was a subscriber to the BML.
Oh, wait, it says Jake Haygood of Who Is Fancy performed on Tonight in a Show featuring Jimmy Fallon, 2015. It was him.
Wow, I didn't.
Yeah, you should look it up because the Who Is Fancy stuff was really fun. It wasn't country-ish. It was
right, because he was a pop songwriter, I think.
Yeah,
is what he did first, and he's from Alabama too, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Hunter Kelly, the guy that put me on the playlist, he's from Alabama, but he just moved from Nashville to Chicago. Cool. Yeah. Okay, so let's take it back to let's see. Checking notes. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, since we touched on it really briefly about Edinburgh, and we kind of like got spread out there, but you said a minute ago that you were going to do 27 shows, right? Is that right?
Yes, 27 shows.
And that's 27 days.
Yep.
And it's all in a row. There's no off days.
My solo show doesn't have off days. I will probably have some days off from the other 3 shows.
Okay. So, but it's all...
Go further. Chunky Huden doesn't want to know what venue for the stand-up show.
The stand-up show is called Laughing Stock. It's at Gilded Balloon Teviot Row House in the Wee Room. And it's at 10:05 every night, I believe. That's a show that I will like be in probably like 3 or 4 times a week. There will be definitely like nights that I'm not in that show.
Gotcha.
So
well, the reason I say that is for people at home who might not put this together. If you're doing 4 different things on one night, you're basically and in one show you're playing 2 characters. Yeah. So you're really like playing like 6 different versions of yourself over the course of 24 hours each day for 27 days.
Yeah, and in the improv shows, I could be playing multiple people as well.
Exactly.
For sure.
Right.
So
I think that's very impressive, Chris.
Oh, I thought you were about to diagnose me with like a condition.
No,
I do, but it's still very impressive.
Yeah,
it is very, very impressive. Now, you just finished the Hollywood Fringe Festival where Chris Grace as Scarlett Johansson won some awards, right?
I won a Producer's Encore Award, which means it was picked to do an extra performance after the Fringe was over, which is very nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And actually, I would say we could count ourselves like as a sold-out show for the Hollywood Fringe. We sold, I think, about 94% of like available tickets. Different Fringes have different like guidelines on like what percentage you have to hit, because then they'll give you the little badge that you can put on your poster.
Oh, nice.
And the next year you can be like, this was a Fringe sellout.
Right.
I mean, I encourage everybody, actually, no matter what city you're in, there probably is a Fringe festival. And I would definitely encourage people to go see stuff, but also if anybody's creative, to just throw up a show somewhere because it'll teach you a lot about marketing and just trying to, because once you create the show, I mean, that's a whole thing in and of itself, right? But then there's the whole thing where you, as artists, you have to get people to come see that, you know, and that's just been fascinating. All in all, Hollywood Fringe, I basically broke even. Like it's a little bit of money up front, but it's possible to like not go too into the hole to do it. Edinburgh is a much more risky financial thing.
And it's rare that anybody makes money there. Is that true?
Yeah, it's really hard to make. It's really hard for Americans to make money because
Right.
of the flights, because of the accommodations, which are getting like super expensive. It's funny. One of my friends who's extremely wealthy was like, "Do you want to? Hey, I'm getting my 1-bedroom flat for Edinburgh. Do you want to? The one across the hall is open as well. Do you want to stay there? I could put your name in. We'll just book your 1-bedroom for the month." I was like, "Oh, I mean, it's great. It's a great location." And he's like, "Okay, it's £6,800." I was like, "No, I'm not going to be booking that. That's almost more than the entire budget for my show."
£6,800 for a month.
Yeah, that's extreme, but I mean, really, it's really hard to get away as an American artist without paying like $1,200 to fly there. And I mean, if you can get your room to stay in there for even like $1,500 for the month is decently low.
Yeah,
and then of course, like I don't know if I'm going to make money on my show. Like even if I sew really well, the margins are very small, and I'm not paying myself to do the show. Like
sure,
and it's a solo show with no set. So imagine if you were trying to do like a 6-person play. But then you sort of chalk it up to you're doing it for the experience. You're doing it to meet people. And it is also extremely instructive. Like, I think it'd be fascinating for y'all to go with a show to see it 27 times, for the actors to do it 27 times, and for you to be able to, like, you know, a weekend, you're like, let's tweak some things. Let's, like, change this scene.
Well, it's funny you say that, because after seeing your show, I demanded what of you, Josh?
He demanded that we figure out a stage show to put together so we could do a Fringe duo.
You should. That'd be great.
Yeah. We had already been working on a show called Crooked Cabaret that we wanted to film. But I thought, oh, wow, what if we could figure out a way to make this actually just like a duo show, or, you know, maybe a 3-person show or something, you know?
Well, this is my current pet theory right now, is that the rise of AI, this is what I'm going to say. Like, AI is going to win. There's no beating ChatGPT at this point.
Right.
But the potential benefit of it is that it raises the value of live performance. Because that's the thing that still can't be replicated.
Right.
That's a way to look at it. I hadn't thought of that until you just said that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I do a lot of tech stuff. I do programming and coding stuff. I know that people are very scared about AI right now, but the bottom line is, like, if you go play with it, it's really fun. And you can't win against that. Like, it's fun. Like, you can't tell people it's not. And it's like when you give people heroin. You can't be like, don't enjoy that. You know, it's like...
Well, it also increases productivity by so much that the sheer, like, you know, both from a laziness factor, like, and then also from a production factor of like from a capitalism point of view, it's hard. Again, it's like, no, it's going to win. There's no way it's not, you know.
Well, also, I think that it's sort of paying the piper for this inflection point that we have about websites right now, which is, I mean, y'all remember when websites started.
Right.
When websites started, they were all text, and it was like you'd go to the Yahoo directory to look up stuff. And maybe they didn't look that great. But now when you go to a website, it's pretty bad. Like, it's completely taken over by advertising, and that really goes up until even the most high prestige websites, like, let's say, New York Times. There's still a paywall. There's still advertising. There's still what they call dark patterns in the design, where they design things to make it difficult for you to, like, cancel a subscription or whatever. And so and also Google results are really bad now. Like, it's really, you generally don't get...
We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah. So now you go into ChatGPT and you just ask it, like, hey, who are the most criticized presidents from the 1800s or whatever, and it'll be like, okay, I think it's this, and it's a blank white screen that you're just talking to a computer and getting what you want. There's no ads. There's no, yet. But of course, that's the other thing that came up in this year in this guy named Cory Doctorow, who's a tech guy, talked about the enshittification of tech companies, which I really have I've
never heard that before.
So this is the idea that every tech company is really good at, there's a honeymoon at the beginning when they're fun and good. And then the money starts to take over. Venture capitalists, they want them to grow their user bases. They want to be able to sell the company to make millions of dollars. And so they start making bad decisions. But almost everything, like Twitter was fun for a little while. TikTok was fun for a little while. Instagram was fun. And then when Uber started, Uber was insanely convenient.
Right.
And everybody was just like, Uber's so great. It seems like the drivers are making a lot of money. The rides are cheap. And then it's like, no, actually, this sucks. It starts to just get worse and worse. And so, I mean, I'm enjoying ChatGPT now when we're in this little honeymoon. But yes, Nakia, I think you're right that it could get worse after ads.
Well, I mean, it all gets worse. I mean, and that's, the article today in the New York Times about how Trump is essentially, his entire team is basically trying to figure out how to shift as much power to the president as possible. Everything, all of these, it's all getting worse, rapidly, which I think is another reason why live entertainment and especially real entertainment by people who are queer, people of color, is so much more important than ever. Because, I mean, some of the things that you touch on, well, really all of the things that you touch on in your show, Chris Grace and Scarlett Johansson, sadly are highly relevant. And, but also at the same time, I'm saying this as somebody that's, a Caucasian, Latino person, however you figure that out. But definitely has been super privileged. So much of it, I felt like I walked away thinking, oh, I can see it better through this lens now, right?
Yeah, I mean, a line that's in the show that wasn't in it when you saw it is that one of the goals of this show is to make this show obsolete.
I love that.
But because, I mean, it's crazy how, I was doing this show and then, the affirmative action stuff happened. It's just funny how there's a complacency towards feeling like, oh, we solved these issues, right? I mean, I went to one of our favorite Palm Springs resorts recently, and I got there, and I was in the main area. I mean, Nakia knows what I'm talking about, and I said, "Oh, it's kind of dark here. Is the lighting different in this area?" And somebody was like, "I was like, oh, I can't see people's faces," and somebody was like, "Is that an Asian joke?" And I was like, no, what are you talking about? You're saying because I couldn't see them that my eyes weren't capable. And I was just like, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this show, I guess.
But we haven't actually talked about what the show is. Maybe you can talk to just a little
bit. Give us the pitch.
The elevator.
Yeah. Pitch. So the elevator pitch is the show is a biography of Scarlett Johansson, and it's me playing her. And it just sort of unravels from there. It's there's a basic tension in could I play Scarlett Johansson? Because I would say most people would say I can't. And then there's the question of should Scarlett Johansson have played some of the roles that she has played in her career, like in Ghost in the Shell or in other things. So she was signed on to play a trans man at one point and decided not to. And so it's kind of an examination of that. I also think it is funny. I think this makes it
fucking
I mean, it's funny. People do just think it's funny when I have a red, one of my friends was like, you just look funny with wigs on. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. This is something I realized just in my life I realized this a while ago, but there's a part in it where I try to do some physical activity, and my body is just designed in such a way that if I just do it simply, people think it's the funniest shit they've ever seen. Because they just think my body moving in space is just really funny to them. And so it's funny, like it happened to me in a play I did a long time ago, and I was like, oh, I don't need to add any extra sauce to like the comedic element of this. People just think my body is funny when it moves. Although not in that Palm Springs resort.
No, that was a different story. I wish that you could have stayed. Yes. To me, it was.
I had to leave the resort early because I got COVID, basically,
and thankfully didn't spread it to anybody that he came into contact with.
No, I mean, I was pretty conservative, but you know, yeah, I wasn't going to spread.
Yeah, it was unfortunate though, because not only did we miss you for the show, and I was always looking forward to, of course, to hearing your stuff, but I thought it was a good weekend. It wasn't as attended as the fall or spring events. Obviously, it's the middle of the summer. You know, July 4th weekend was in the middle of the week this time instead, so it was not as well attended. But the people that were there were really there to be there, and it was really nice.
There were a number of new faces that were very handsome, and also the heat was not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
It was not that bad.
So when are we getting Joshua Pangborn out to this place?
We were talking about this earlier, and I'm glad you brought it up, because we've got just a little bit of time left before we get Mark-Eugene in here, and then we're going to have the two of you together, and we've got some things we want to talk about together with you. Cool. And then we'll say goodbye to you, and then we'll continue to talk to Mark-Eugene. But Josh earlier was like, oh yeah, so when am I going to play Meaty Bits? And, you know, I was like, so are you going to do a stand-up? And he was like, I'm going to do stand-up and music. And I was like, okay, well, Chris books, you know, his stuff. I book my stuff. So here's your chance, Josh. Pitch us on what you're going to do for a Meaty Bits.
Fantastic! I'll have to come up with something out of my ass right now.
Josh is already in on my side, so
that's what I told him. I said on my side he was already in. All you have to do is get Chris in.
Oh,
there we go. I guess
so. You just have to get me and Nakia in, Josh.
I'll work on getting you both in together at once, whatever it takes.
Oh, I mean, since we're talking about Meaty Bits, for folks at home, I have the pleasure of kind of co-creating / co-hosting a variety show with Chris at in Cathedral City, which is right outside of Palm Springs, at a resort called CCBC, at an event called Western Exposure, which is put on by our mutual friend West. And we did one in April. We did one in July, and we are planning to do another in October. It's so much fun, and we had such a good time. Mm-hmm. But I do think you and I, I love this idea actually of having Josh come and do something, because that's one of the things that I think is kind of missing in the variety show thing. It's like something besides just the stand up and the music, you know, like it. And so maybe Josh, what you could do is do some kind of like, you know, what did you call it, Josh? A tight 10?
Tight 10, you know, a tight 10.
One man show thing.
Could we get like a SideKick Power Hour like meetup at one of these things?
That would be fun. That would be so much fun.
We could do a live episode of SideKick Power Hour.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
We were going to do something like that before.
Are you getting Stuart and Jay to fly out?
Well,
I'm not sure Jay will fly out to anywhere.
Yeah, Jay won't. Jay might be watching though. Jay, if you're watching, do you want to go to the clothing optional resort to?
If you did if you got Bigger Vegas to do a Meaty Bit, Stuart would definitely be there. So
Stuart does love the Bigger Vegas.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. But let's be thinking about that, and then once you're back from Edinburgh, we can because I know you got a lot to focus on between now and then.
Only 4 shows, 27 times in a month.
Yeah, I'm gonna vlog my month, and
you are.
I got a little vlog camera, and because I was thinking about
content.
Well, because I was thinking like, oh, I'm probably gonna do 100 shows this month.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have that many days off, and I've also taken on other shows. Like other people have asked me to guest on other things.
Oh, neat.
So,
I wonder if you could do a time lapse of every show of Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be really, really fun.
Have you been in contact with ScarJo's people?
No. It's so funny because one of my producers dropped out of the project, and one of the reasons he dropped out was he was afraid that we were going to get sued by her.
But this is parody.
What? It's so dumb on so many levels. Mostly of which I would love for them to sue me.
Right. That's the point.
Like, you think them suing me is going to hurt the show?
No.
I don't have any money for her to get from me. And so it will just be a thing. Like, I literally was like, as soon as that happens, we write a press release.
Right.
And there could not be anything that would make it go bigger than that.
Somebody said the same thing to me about Disney, because Disney now is obviously putting out Skeleton Crew, their Star Wars series.
Uh-huh.
They're like, well, you're going to have to change the name of your show now, aren't you? And I'm like, no.
No.
They're like, but Disney's going to want to sue you if you don't change the... I'm like, let them. I mean, please, let Disney come and sue me. First of all, I have nothing. Second of all, imagine the publicity of Disney attacking this poor little queer soap opera.
I could see Disney taking the route. Probably more likely would be, here's a chunk of money, change the name of your show.
And that's okay too.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's not a bad result.
Well, we do have another Meaty Bits coming up. That's awesome. Do you have any solo shows, any stand-up between now and Edinburgh?
Not between now and Edinburgh, but Thanksgiving weekend, I'm headlining the Riot Comedy Club in Houston, Texas, which is my hometown.
Ooh, nice.
So if there's anyone in Texas, I would love to see you come out for that.
What's the date on that?
It's like the Friday. It's like the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving, I think.
So that would be
the
24th.
One show Friday and 2 shows Saturday, I believe.
Okay,
and this is like my first full headlining gig. So they had a comedy festival in April, I think, that I went down for. And I don't love this, but it was a contest. It was like, I really don't love contests when it comes to creative things.
Right.
But I won it, so that was cool. But one of the prizes was to get to come back for headlining weekend, so I'm excited about it. And this year has been really about, for my stand-up, going from somebody that can do... how long was that set when you came out to LA? Was that the 30-minute set?
I felt like that was close to 30 minutes.
Yeah, so going from...
wait. I just remember before the show, like not even maybe 10 minutes before the show, you're like, well, it's longer than I actually have time for, but I'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a big like level up that you have to do as a stand-up, which is when you're doing a lot of 5 to 8 minute sets, and then suddenly they want you to do 15 to 20, and then they want you to do an hour, and like it's not there really isn't anyone out there that's like, here's how you do it. It's
right.
like, and there is no way to be prepared to do it. I'm going to prepare as best as I can for headlining, but really everybody's just like, I mean, you never feel like you have enough material for the first time that you do the hour. And like that one, I think that's the show I'm thinking of. I was doing 30 minutes and I hadn't done a full 30 before. And so I'm more comfortable doing that now, but it's very hard, like in any major city, to find times to practice. Like, oh, can I come to your open mic and do an hour? It's like, this is just not a thing. Like, and everything is just repetition and experience.
Well, we're getting ready to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be joined by Mark-Eugene Garcia. But before we go to a break, since you brought it up, I wanted to pull this up real quick. Hang on.
We're hanging.
This is a lawsuit that Scarlett Johansson has filed.
She's actually reaching out. We're actually serving you on the show right now.
Oh, wow. This is Jason Sudeikis style.
Prepared, and you
Oh,
won't
there-
like it as much. I'm just setting your expectations. What's this?
Okay, so this is why I wanted to play this bit. It's because when you did this, and I was sitting in the front, when you did this after telling me that you had to figure out how to stretch, and then you go on. This is actually really funny. So this is why I wanted to show.
Is this a Beauty and the Beast reference? Is this a version of Beauty and the Beast where the Beast has to go to an open mic? Every laugh he gets, one of these pedals falls. And then when he does a whole set, he turns back into human being.
So good.
I'm padding out this set already. All right, I'll leave you on this.
That was the best. That was when you do the "I'll leave you on this" thing. That's it. It kills me every fucking time.
Well, you know what's interesting that this year that I'm starting to sort of absorb as knowledge is that I think stand-ups and probably playwrights and maybe sketch comedy writers and stuff, comedy writers in general, I feel like we focus so much on the writing, like, have I written it correctly, blah, 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 right? And this year I'm just like, some of it is also just being able to just stand up there and be relaxed. And because I've seen amazing stand-up comedians in the last 3 years where if you wrote down what they said, you'd just be like, what is this? It doesn't make any sense. And similarly, a play is so much more than just the words, right? Mm-hmm. There's the words are this guide to creating this experience, but there's so much more has to be brought by the other artists involved. And so I think it's hard in this culture right now to people want to be able to figure out the literal ins and outs of everything. How do I sing? How do I write a pop song? But a lot of it is just intuition in your bones from experience.
Right.
It's one of the reasons I like to cast the same group of people more and more, because I know what they're going to give me. I know what they're going to give the words that I write, and I know what how they're going to improve the words that I write, and how I know the product we're going to create together, and that's sort of what makes it more than just one person working on it, which is because all of this is a collaborative thing. I mean, this is not just writing a poem or writing a novel or something. This is a collaborative art form. So
yeah, I mean, they must bring stuff to you where it surprises you, or or oh, I didn't think this moment would go like that, but this is better.
Yeah,
sure. Okay, so when we come back, Mark-Eugene Garcia will be with us. We will be right back after this break. If you're just joining us, this is SideKick Power Hour. I believe this is episode 11 of season 3.
It is.
And my name is Nakia. This is
Joshua R. Pangborn.
And we are joined by
Chris Grace.
And soon we'll be joined by Mark-Eugene Garcia right after this message.
Hello? Somebody there? Hey. Who are you?
Harvest? Yes, this symbol is on every single victim.
So it's vengeance you seek.
Nothing about this is fine!
People don't just randomly kill. There has to be a pattern here.
I screwed up big time! I can't find an answer about the scissor slasher, and I can't find an answer about what I am.
That was not my turn.
I trust you. This is terrifying. But fun?
Right. Okay, so maybe I embellish a thing or two on immortality.
With love as well as with magic. There is always a price.
I am very much looking forward to it.
And you can watch it right now at demondoctor.com. All of season 1, the Christmas episode, all of season 2 that's available. If you want to see the episodes before everybody else does, all you have to do is join us over at the Patreon. Become a member of the Crewniverse at patreon.com/sidekick productions. You should have a brand new episode of Demon Doctor this Sunday if you're a member of Patreon, because my ass will be working on it all day or night for the next 4 days, because I've been so busy doing other stuff. So all that being said, it is time now to bring in our second guest of the evening. Love this guy so much. One of my favorite people in the Crewniverse, and who is also one of our more celebrated people in the Crewniverse lately, because they've got so many great things going on for them. Please welcome back to SideKick Power Hour, Mark-Eugene Garcia.
Oh, hello. How are you doing?
Good. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you. I was taking a tight 10 back there.
That's good. You have a very tight 10, though. So.
Thank you. That's what everyone says.
Mark-Eugene, I have to start by just pointing something out that I saw you post on social media this week, which is, again, if you follow Storyteller MG anywhere, you know that you're always going to get some fun stuff. But you posted this thing, and you often post little quips from what's going on at your job at the drama book club.
Bookshop.
Sorry, I always want to say book club because it feels like you're when you shop there, you have to be a member. But the thing that you said about it was a joke about the jackets, and it was
the book jackets,
and I could see you delivering that line in my mind. I could see it on your face, and it was so funny. It must be a real hoot to work with you.
Well, it's fun. So like the joke was that like somebody came in and asked if we had burlesque books, and I was like, oh, it's hard to tell. And they're like, well, why? I said, because their covers keep coming off. And it was just like really fast. And then my coworker was like, just help them. Like she always gets the worst of my dad jokes. But it's like, I don't know, like my humor, I was telling someone that my humor is like really smart and really stupid at the same time. And it's that I want you to think, but I also want you to think I'm an idiot. Are like the two ways that
there's something very Goldie Hawn about you.
Yes,
Aww.
Exactly. Thank you. That means a lot. There's a hole in my stomach.
We put it there, though.
Yes, right.
Too weird. You guys, Mark-Eugene, are you familiar with Chris Grace? Have you guys met?
We have not met. Hello.
I don't think we've met. No.
Nice to meet you.
You've both spent time in New York. You both are actors. You both are playwrights. Technically, I think because Chris has written a few plays now. So Chris couldn't act with us, I think, if he wanted to right now, because
probably not
for a variety of reasons. Number one, we're not a SAG production, but number two, if he couldn't because of the strike. So, but you, of course, Mark-Eugene, act with us all the time. I think when we were planning out who was going to be on the show, it made the most sense to have you guys together for a variety of reasons. And the biggest ones, I think, I'd love to talk about with you here. And that is, representation and the work that you create, and how you do that both on purpose and maybe sometimes even subconsciously or without, there's no way for you to kind of not do it, I guess. Because Mark, you have now, I think, 4 plays published.
Oh no, 2 published.
2 published. Gotcha.
But 6 out.
Way to overinflate him, Nakia.
But no, that's cool. I will have 4 at some point.
You will, absolutely.
Yes.
And I feel like, all of your work absolutely, finds ways to give that representation. I'm not saying it right. Josh, you can help me with this.
Well, I think I actually have a different perspective on Mark's work, because I've read a lot of Mark's work.
Right.
Mark and I had a lot of things to do during the pandemic, which was just read each other's work and chat and everything. And I think a lot of the stuff that I've seen Mark start to put out more has embraced more elements of representation. I think a lot of what you wrote earlier on, Mark, was more anyone can play. It was more sort of like almost blind casting, but whereas you started to really sort of more consciously put in elements of your heritage and your background and bring out. I mean, especially with Eight Tales of Pedro. But I know you said you're working on a new play now that's also going to be really, really steeped in heritage and everything, your heritage and all. So
definitely, I think that while trying to be inclusive in the beginning by saying, okay, like nothing matters, it was still being inclusive, but not as inclusive as I wanted it to be, in the sense that I wanted it to be really specific. And it's helped the writing. I think it's also helped the show, or the different shows, is that it's knowing exactly who you're writing about really, really, really helps with the story. And it allowed me to kind of really delve. I know for Eight Tales, one of the things that one of the first things I did was, originally they were all just unnamed storytellers, but then as I delved into these characters, I ended up pulling names from my family tree for all of the characters. So all of the 6 characters in the show, of their actual characters, not the people they play in the multiple play within the play moments, are actually relatives of distant past. And so it was kind of a way of putting myself, putting my family and my own background into that show. And there'll be a little bit of that in the next show too. It's a very different show, but there'll be a lot of that in there.
Chris, this play that Mark just did, Eight Tales of Pedro, which is also published now, so you can read it if you'd like to. It's an amazing play that puts together, it makes you laugh and cry about the immigration crisis going on, and it's incredibly funny until it's not, and then it brings you back though, because it's hopeful at the end, and so you're still crying at the end, but you're crying because there's a sense of hope in it, and it's just so magically done and so beautifully done. I've seen it 3 times now. So
oh, wow, yeah.
Wow.
You have. There's something that go on.
No, I was going to tease out something that was interesting though, which is that it's funny because Nakia, you were saying like maybe intentionally or not, we sort of deal with these things, but it's funny because it's like if you're one of the marginalized people, it's like you kind of have to be intentional about it. And like I feel like a lot of the mess we're in is because a lot of creators are not intentional. And a lot of them have the luxury of not being intentional about it, you know? Like they can just write a play and just cast all their friends in it. And then you're like, yeah, but all of the people in the show are white.
Right.
It's like, oh, I didn't really think about it. And like, it doesn't necessarily affect their commercial viability to think about that or not. And I think for like creators that are marginalized, it's like, you're always in this dance of like, I mean, there's a part of you that also would love to like write about whatever. But then there's also like marketability of, if you have an identity, should you be writing, you know, is it just more marketable for us to write things about our culture, whatever that means, you know? Because then it's like an easier sell to like a white audience, because they're like, oh, we're going to learn from hearing from this person about it.
Sure.
You know? I don't know. It's always a struggle for me.
But I always wonder if there's a certain, if you're trying to be marketable about it, if there's a certain level of you can't be too authentic about the experience, because then it sort of becomes scary. Or I'm thinking, because obviously a lot of the work that I do is focused on fat and queer elements and everything. So I think that one of the reasons that sometimes we aren't successful is because I'm too authentic about the fat and queerness of the shows that we do. And I think that there's a risk there in terms of marketability of being too honest and too realistic. At least that's a perspective I felt at times. I don't know if you feel that way with the stuff that you're making.
Yeah, I also feel like there's even the like pragmatic elements of like and I say this as a fat person, there's an appeal to being like, let this Chinese American artist tell me about racism, right? But I don't know if there's a desire in our culture to be like, let me hear from this fat person, tell me what it's like, how I've been mean to them, you know,
Right.
like, you know, it's like there's still a stigma to it. And I was just thinking the other day about how the stigma around like fat people, how like it really bothers people to see fat people because it's like, oh, I don't know, we're reminding you that like health is an issue, right? But also my friend Sophie Hagen, who does a lot of like fat advocacy, was saying like we don't have to be healthy. Like even if there are healthy fat people, but also the unhealthy fat people don't owe you that they have to be healthy just so you don't have to be reminded that you're going to die one day.
Right.
Like,
it's funny at my job, I have a lot of younger people and we were having a conversation and I showed someone an older photo of me and a friend who also works there. And they were like, oh, I don't like that. And it was a photo from like 10, 15 years ago. And we were all just like super fit and young. And I was like, you know, you're going to get old one day. Like it's going to happen. Not acknowledging it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. You're going to be 40 one day too, I promise. But yeah, it was just kind of weird to watch them like, oh no, like what?
I don't like the passage of time.
Yeah. And sometimes I think it's that like, oh, it's acknowledging another existence or another situation that don't want to see. I know.
I want to hear because
when we did Eight Tails,
no, I was gonna say, Mark-Eugene, you live in New York. Do you guys wait? Who lives in New York? Mainly, I want to know what you guys thought of The Inheritance, if you ever got to see it as playwrights.
I really liked the show. I really did. I think one of the reasons that I had a little like I don't know bumpy experience in the beginning was that it was more the marketing than the show itself. The marketing was them saying, "This is your show. Come see your show, and you are part of the story." And then I watched it, and I started watching it, and I was like, "Okay, I like this story. This is not my story, but I am enjoying the story." And so it was kind of a moment of like reminding myself, "Okay, this isn't me," and I kind of have to get out of that mindset that I'm going to see myself up there today. But I still could appreciate and acknowledge and like what I saw. But it was kind of an interesting 5 minutes in the beginning of the show.
Josh, did you see it?
No, I have not seen it. Mark-Eugene has a lot more chances to see theater than I do at times because he's in the drama book club. I
love the drama book.
This was long before that. Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's fun. Oh, but I was gonna say earlier is that like that acknowledging of a different situation. Like when we open Eight Tails, I make it a point in the show that the first page and a half, it's less than 5 minutes, but the first page and a half is in Spanish.
Yeah.
Because I want one of the characters who doesn't speak Spanish, I want the audience to understand what it feels like to be in a room of people speaking Spanish around you very quickly and not understanding it or being able to pick up a few words. And it was always interesting to see, even in Queens, even in an area that is full of many languages, people get that like looking around, watching it happen. And it's like you could see it in their faces like, oh shit, is this whole thing going to be in Spanish? And at one point, even one night, one of the characters has a line where he says, can we please speak English to the others? And before they switch over. And someone one night in the back of the theater was like, please? And I was like, oh, awkward. I'm embarrassed for you. But it was just kind of like, all right, okay, cool. But it's interesting to see that squirm and to see that bit of discomfort in that moment, because we do, like, I think that we kind of, not everybody, but we do fear the different stories that are out there. And it's finding ways to get that story that someone's not familiar with or not seeing on a regular day or regular basis and putting it back into them, into the audience.
Yeah. The reason I was asking about The Inheritance was what Nakia was saying reminded me of that. I saw the production out here, which is sort of like related to the New York one, but that show is not particularly, doesn't have a lot of Latina culture in it. And they asked the playwright, like, how come this play is like so white? And he was like, well, he basically said, like, because it was written by me, it has to have that culture in it. And I was like, I don't know if I really buy that. Like, I don't know. I mean, he's free to have his own perspective on it, but I didn't get much of that when I saw that. It was an interesting, but also one of my favorite plays. There's a play called Appropriate by Brandon Jenkins Jacobs or something that I didn't know who he was. I saw it in London, and it's just about this Arkansas white family bickering over their inheritance, and it was like intentionally he wrote about, he's a black playwright. He intentionally wrote about a white Southern family. There's no black people in it whatsoever, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then there's stuff in the play about, like, you know, race, but it was a really interesting intentional thing. I don't know if I got that intentionality from seeing The Inheritance in quite the same way.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Again, like my issue, I think, was the marketing. It was like, you can't tell me I went there to see my story. I went there to see a story that's like, this is going to relate to all gay men. This is going to relate to all of you.
Yeah.
And there were moments it did, but it never was that, like, ooh, where there's other shows that I'll go and be like, oh, I see myself up there. Okay, here we are. And I feel it. This one was just like, all right. And that was good enough that I left the show at matinee and bought tickets for the night performance to see the second half of it. I was gonna wait a few weeks, but I was like, no, let's do this now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so good. It's a good show. It wasn't the show I was expecting because of what I was told.
I love the first half. I don't love the second half as much, but one of my only, like, quibbles with that show is that, just like, there's only a couple times that it's interesting with just gay culture where, like, I mean, I know that we don't want gay culture to be about, like, us having sex a lot, but, like, there is a lot of sex in our culture. And in that play, there's only a couple times where someone goes and has, like, group sex, and I think both times they get AIDS or something. I was just like, does that have to happen? Like, the first time a guy has a threesome, he gets HIV. Like, it feels a little like a boogeyman-ish, or feels prudish or something. I don't know. And I just feel like the culture that we live and walk in is, like, it's just, we just have a much more lived relationship to, like, sex, and I don't know, some of it doesn't seem as big a deal to me in general.
I also wonder how generational that is, though, Chris, because at least based on TikTok, it seems like you and me and Mark and Nakia are part of a generation that sort of sex isn't a big deal, and it is part of sort of just our everyday queer culture. But then you've got the younger generation, which is, or as they're sometimes called affectionately on TikTok, the Puritans, and they're just aversion to it almost. Like,
I have heard that the, like, Gen Z is more sex positive, but is, like, statistically having less sex.
Gen Z is before or after millennial?
The youngest ones right now, Nakia.
Okay, gotcha.
But, like, they Gen Z is way more, like, even my nieces are like, they're way more like, if you're like, oh, I'm into puppy play or whatever, they'd be like, cool, you go, whatever. But they aren't necessarily like I mean, this is a good thing. Like, teenage pregnancy is down in this generation.
Yes, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
right.
But it's interesting,
especially now in parts of the country. But
you know, I think it's readily available if anybody wants to access it. We talked about this when James Unsworth was on, and when Hamish Steele was on. You know, there's, you can see anything you want pretty much at any age right now if you are savvy enough to get to it. But it feels like those of us who experienced the beginnings of the internet, when we could first really connect to people of our communities, that we felt like we were so ostracized for so long. This generation, they're so used to being plugged in and connected to people that they don't seem to do well with any kind of like affection, even hugging. I've noticed, like, younger people don't seem to be into, like, hug. Like, I don't remember being that, like, like, you know, don't hug me kind of thing, you know.
Mhm.
It feels like people don't want to be together like that, you know.
I think go ahead, Mark.
Oh no, you go for it.
I was just saying, I think that there's just a lot more focus on consent.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think that was something that we had to, I wouldn't say had to, I would say that we got to think about when we were younger. I think that it's like I've always been a hugger and comfortable with that.
Right.
But there are people that aren't, and there are friends of mine that aren't. And I think that we never really thought about asking for a long time until that conversation was brought to the forefront in more serious situations.
Sure.
And then it made us all kind of look back and be like, all right, well, were we ignoring the signs beforehand? Like, someone doesn't want this. Were we ignoring it when we were hugging them? Or if someone's like, oh, I don't like to be hugged. Like, oh, it's okay. Like, don't worry. I'm just a hugger. That's like, that doesn't do anybody any good. And I just think that, like, because we never were given that question, we just kind of took it for granted. And so it's something that I've kind of grown into more, is that, especially also because I work with a younger staff. And one of the benefits of that is I learned so much. Like, I learned so much from my staff. My coworkers are amazing, and they're so smart. And I kind of get to relearn what life is through them. And I see that in a lot of them. Like, they'll come up and be like, "Can I hug you?" I'm like, "Absolutely." Like, and it's kind of nice to be asked that at the same time, because it makes the hug that much better.
This is it's such an old man thing, but like, I feel like I am grateful that we didn't grow up with the relationship to the availability of porn. I don't know what it would have done to our brains, because I mean, I really was like, I found a box of like Playgirl magazines in a dumpster. You know, like, this is like old school, or you sneak into a gay bookstore and you buy the Bear magazine, and you're like, looking around. It's like, this is a regular bookstore, right? But I'm buying this porn magazine. I don't know. Like, I mean, I am grateful for that.
Well, we're going to find out what it does to people's brains probably in the next 5 to 10 years, because they're all going to be adults, and they've had access to it for a very long time.
But in some ways, maybe that's why they have such a healthy relationship with it, is that it is the norm. I think that for a lot of us, like, growing up, I also found a magic box of porn. And I don't know if that's,
there's just one. There's just one box.
Is there?
There's
a fairy
one box
that like delivers them? Like, someone tossed a video out by the side of the road, and me and my 15-year-old friends, like 4 of us, found it. Like, no, we were meant to find this. It was still in the wrapping and everything. But like, I think because it was so secretive and so that it was like, oh my gosh, like, we can't talk about this, we can't do this, and there was so much that wasn't normalized, that I think that's why now, in some ways, people can be like, oh, I'm into this. Oh, cool, awesome, have fun. As opposed to before, where it's like, and even now, where there is a sense of not necessarily shame, but like secrecy. It's like, oh, I like this, and it's like, I don't really want to tell anybody that, because I was raised to not tell anybody that.
Yeah, it's almost like when I tell people that the musical that I co-wrote is narrated by someone who identifies as an adult baby, and there's never any shock. There's never, you know, it's like, oh, cool, right on, you know. Okay, well, we're going to segue out into our Mark-Eugene solo segment, but before we do, we want to take a quick moment to just also acknowledge the incredible work that Chris is doing. So please, if you are going to be anywhere near Edinburgh in the month of August, is that right?
That's right.
Then
August 2nd to 28th.
You'll have every opportunity to see Chris. You really, if you're in that city and you're not seeing Chris, you're doing it wrong.
If I go this month without meeting Jonkahedron, I'm going to be very disappointed.
He will definitely be there. I get the feeling he'll be there. Chris, can they also find info? Is this you on TikTok and Instagram?
And TikTok and Instagram, and Threads.
Right, and Threads, right.
And Threads, everybody.
Right. But not OnlyFans. That's not
Not OnlyFans yet, depending on how this Fringe goes. Maybe I will be at the end of it.
That's how I am after every production. I'm like, do I need to do the OnlyFans yet?
Yeah.
And every week that you say it, all of our
Everyone's
viewers say,
just
yes,
where is
please.
it? Josh, where is it?
As soon as I get my lighting.
Okay, well,
before he goes, Chonkahedron has said, I will be there. Probably not with bells on, but you'll see me.
Okay,
well, make sure to say hi to him after.
Chonkahedron, I'll see you at the cemetery on the backside of the what's the like Calton Hill. if he's from Edinburgh, he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Wow.
In the cemetery.
Pulling out some cruising references.
In Edinburgh, the cemeteries are like cruising spots.
Well, but since we're talking about finding porn in boxes, and I found mine in a pipe in the woods, by the way, but like a big PVC pipe. But
I'm imagining like a little like,
but
tiny
really little porn.
But when I was growing up in Alabama, the only place that I felt safe to have sex was in graveyards, because nobody was going to be going in there at night, and you couldn't take a guy to the normal parking spot, because what were two dudes doing out there, whatever. So we went to graveyards. So I went through a little goth phase. Maybe I'll dig those photos up.
I was gonna say, you got to get to Scotland now, because that's the thing out there.
Well,
you're gonna fit
if
right.
I
in.
have my way,
bro.
If I have my way, we'll be at Fringe Festival next year with a show.
Fringe 2024. You should do it.
Yep, and maybe we'll drag Mark-Eugene along.
Hey, yeah.
Okay, well, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be doing the solo interview with Mark-Eugene. We're going to leave you with the trailer for the feature film that Joshua and I had the privilege of co-directing, and Mark-Eugene is one of the stars of A Taste of Youth. It is currently in post-production. We're almost done with it. We just got to get the audio stuff and just a couple of pickup shots of B-roll that we need. But if you want to continue to support it, you can join us over at Patreon, or you can always do the old Venmo and PayPal and Patreon and all that good stuff. It's all there. We'd certainly appreciate it. Chris Grace, thanks for being with us. And
thanks, you guys. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it's always a blast having you around. I always laugh a bunch. We will be right back.
You're out of control.
If you got your mind made up, you're gonna leave, hoping you'll take your sweet time. Won't you take your sweet time? 'Cause I'm not quite ready.
You're going to have to wait just a little while before you see it. But then when you see it, you can watch it again and then watch it again and watch it again. There's so many great parts to it. It's called A Taste of Youth. And we're super duper proud of it. And as I mentioned before the break, it stars Mark-Eugene Garcia and, of course, our co-host and the writer and director of A Taste of Youth, Joshua R. Pangborn. Hello, boys. Oh, wait, you're both still muted. I will unmute you now. There you go.
I haven't seen that trailer.
Oh, really?
No, it was awesome. Yes, I recognize the singer too.
Well, we had a different singer, and that was going to be causing some problems.
Yes.
Well, this was great.
Yeah, this was great. Yeah, yeah, you look fabulous in it.
You do.
It's the team. We all look great.
So obviously that took 10 days, 11 days, 11 days, and then you've done
Mark
2 days.
Mark was there for 8 of the 11 days,
And then he did 2 days of pickups.
and Mark and I have done 3 days of pickups.
3 days. So you ended up actually doing 11 days.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, what was it like for you in that sense of like, trying to, in the same way like Chris is basically having to live inside these 4 or 5 different characters' heads for the better part of a month, for the better part of a week and a half, 2 weeks, you were having to kind of be in that mode and switch on and switch off and switch on and switch off. What was that like for you?
It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, because I made it a point to like take a week off of work, so I wasn't doing the like, oh, I have to like go to work and then come back and all of that. Like, it was an opportunity to really live and breathe in these characters and in Mateo's mindset. And there is a little bit of that, like, that as I turned 40, like right in the beginning of the pandemic, and then knowing that this character is dealing with age and dealing with that, literally like seeing younger people, seeing that taste of youth out there and just being like, oh, why can't I have this? There's some of that. So it was a little bit of a natural fit. But it was really wonderful. It was a great opportunity to work with everybody. I think, Josh and I were already close, but I think that really solidified our friendship even more, is because we had our whole life was together at that point. I think in the beginning, the first day, I had a couple more scenes with others, but eventually by the end of it, it was just me and Josh all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was a wonderful experience to be in sync with somebody that much for a performance.
That's really cool. I felt that way from behind the scenes with Josh and Paul, because I lived with them for those 11 days. So I, slept, ate, showered, the whole thing every day. And Josh and I had this lovely, like, kind of like post rap day every day where, we'd be in the Uber on the way back and we'd be just like exhausted, and we'd do like a little, story on Instagram or something. And it felt like it's the kind of thing that experience, I think, that you just kind of want to go on and on, It's like, oh, if we could just figure out a way to do this all the time.
Yeah, it's that going back to work the following week and being like, wait, I have to be a normal person now. I have to do reports and stuff. Like, I was just filming a movie. Like, come on, my goddamn star. Let me out. Let me out of this office. Right.
Josh, I'm gonna take a moment to pull up a trailer for or a specific scene for Demon Doctor. While I'm doing that, why don't you talk to Mark-Eugene about season 2 of Demon Doctor and what we've seen so far and what we can expect to come.
Sure. Hey.
Hi.
Have you been watching Demon Doctor?
What is that?
It's a show about a doctor and a demon, and they're doing a lounge singing act in Vegas.
That sounds amazing. I would watch that show in a heartbeat.
There's also a show about a demonologist and a detective who are friends who partner for solving crimes and everything. So that's also called Demon Doctor. I think you may have heard of that one. So
very cool. I think Disney Plus is doing a Star Wars thing.
They are
called Demon Doctor.
Yeah, it's called Star Wars Demon Doctor. How have you enjoyed the season so far?
I have. It's so hard because we filmed it so long ago.
We did. It was such a long time ago.
And so watching it, I'm like, oh my God, we're just seeing this right now. That was 5 years ago. No, it was not, but it was pretty close.
It was 84 years ago.
I'm still wearing the heart of the ocean in some of the scenes.
Now you've thrown it into the ocean. So.
Exactly. No, it's fun. It's fun to catch up, and it is just weird to be like, oh man, this was so long ago, but to see the responses and to see just the excitement, seeing the scissor slasher, seeing again, that mask with the face with the cucumber, the cucaracha, whatever it's called, the coochie. Yes, it's really it's nice, and it's hard to believe that we're not on season 3. I'm already like, what?
We'll get started on that soon. Don't worry.
Yeah. How are you feeling about it?
I am so happy with it. I mean, it's everything I wanted to do from season 1 into season 2. I wanted to push things in a lot of ways. I wanted to be a little bit more actiony.
Yeah.
And I wanted to really make sure that you and I were at the core of it, because Derek and at the end of the day, it's Derek and Mark's stories.
Mark and Derek's.
Sorry, yes. I was going alphabetical, but you're right, and it's in terms of importance. But I also am just really happy with how we pushed the makeups. We pushed so much of it, I think, and I feel like it's a really realized world in a lot more ways than it was in season 1.
Yeah, I think you've really expanded the universe a lot with it. It's a lot of like, there's so many monsters that I had to learn one monster for season 1. I was like, okay, cool, that's the monster, that's what we're dealing with. And now I'm like, oh my god, there's every possible kind of monster in the universe. What's next? And it's exciting. It's really fun to see that, and to live in a world where we just accept monsters. Then once we find out that they're real, we're like, yeah, okay, that's totally normal. At least my character is. No one else believes me, but like, my character's like, oh, okay, that makes absolute sense. Why aren't you listening to me?
And I think it's been really nice to just have like it's almost just have a buddy show kind of thing. Like I loved episode 4 with the unicorn, where we it's just you and I on an adventure, and it's just like us bickering like friends and everything, but we have like this whole like lovely conversation at the spa, and
I think that's the first time we get a little bit of that will they won't they.
Yes, there's a lot of Scully and Mulder in this season that's coming out. Season 1 was a little bit more Buffy, with a lot more Buffy with a little bit of X-Files. This is, I think, a lot more X-Files, and with a lot of Buffy still. But
yeah, because we have a couple of those like Monster of the Week situations.
Yeah,
and that's exciting because I like that ability to have those moments with an overarching story of like the actual like mystery of like who is the scissor slasher and all these other things that are happening. What is Genevieve doing, and the harvest, but we also have the unicorn, and we also have ghosts, and we also have all of these other things that are only there to keep us going.
I know we have a really fun episode towards the end of the season that you and I filmed first. That was the first thing we filmed in 2020.
That was the cabin.
2021. Was it 2020 or 2021? I think it was 2020.
I think so too.
Yeah. So we filmed this in 2020, and it's going to come out this year. So actually, it's coming out we went to the cabin in November of 2020, and it's going to come out in November of 2023. So it's going to be 3 years since it came out.
That's insane.
Yeah,
it's exciting, but also kind of just like what?
I know. But at least the Taste of Youth will come out sooner than that. So
yes, and I'm very excited. I'm excited for all of it. It's just being part of SideKick is so much fun. It really is.
You make it more fun by being there. So. Oh, this is a fun scene. Nakia, you're muted, just so you know.
Here's a scene from the most recent episode of Demon Doctor, which you can watch at demondoctor.com. I love this scene with you and Brenda. Anytime I get to watch Brenda do anything, she's just so good.
She's ridiculous.
But you're so great together.
She's a
Look who
powerhouse.
showed up today.
Captain, sorry, I had a sick friend who needed my help.
Did they die?
No.
Well, then we don't need to talk about it until they do. Now, catch me up on this. And I can't believe you're still using this name, Scissor Slasher.
Right, that. I spoke to the roommate of the victim, and he was out of town on tour for the past month. So that's why it took so long to track him down.
Which means he has nothing useful to say. Useless.
Well, I wouldn't say that. He did remember the victim having a boyfriend, and the boyfriend was really angry when the victim broke up with him.
The victim's parents didn't mention a boyfriend.
They didn't know. He wasn't out to them.
Oh, right. Good work. Let's see what you can learn about the boyfriend, and we'll bring him in.
Sure thing, Captain.
See what you can do when you stop looking under rocks for fairy tales? Unless you're still looking for the coochie coochie coo or whatever it is.
Kuchisaki, and I know for a fact it wasn't that.
Let me guess, because you found one and you asked him.
Would you believe me if I said yes?
Don't make me regret giving you a compliment. Now get me this killer.
Okay, you'll have to watch the rest of the episode to see what happens next. Love that. I love doing the sound for this. There were like little things that because there's usually music everywhere, you don't necessarily always hear the little things.
Mm-hmm.
And in this episode, there are several moments where I can just play with small, minute little sounds. So like when you pick up the paper, or when your chair turned, it didn't squeak like that, but everybody knows that's what chairs sound like, so it's just little things like that, or like finding just the right ringtone for your computer video call that's like some outdated, I don't even know what app that's supposed to be. It's like kind of Skype, it's kind of not. But it was a lot of fun to do that one for sure. And then because you mentioned it, I wanted to show one other scene. I think this is such a sweet scene between the two of you. And again, this one was a lot of fun to do all the sound for, and folks will see why or hear why immediately because it's pretty obvious.
I didn't realize how rough these things are. Really? Well, they've never really bothered me much. You never told me you got arrested. Oh, what? I haven't been. And how do you know how these... Wow. Don't judge me. No. Never. I just didn't think you would be into these. Oh, well. Whoa! That is the least relaxing sound I've ever heard. You were saying? Do you mind? I'm really glad you're here with me, Derek. It's nice having a partner again ever since Jesse. It sounds so high school, but I feel like I have a best friend again. Derek? Derek? Oh.
Sorry, Mark. Oh. I think I dozed off or something. I don't know what's wrong with me. Ever since I walked through these doors, something's been draining my energy.
Dun dun dun.
No. There's nothing.
Mark? I think you're my best friend too.
My heart.
So good.
Who is that handsome unicorn? I don't know. Kelvin Cabrera in The Mask, everyone.
Kelvin's made 2 appearances this season so far.
Yes, he plays the unicorn servant of Ellen, and he plays Officer Fisher.
Yep, Scissor Slasher.
But because this was filmed 5 years ago, I can't remember. Did you make the sound of the bowl, or did he make the sound of the bowl?
That it was there, but it just wasn't that.
No.
Yeah, no. And so I took it and like kind of amped up the scraping part of it, and the sound of the water fountain that wasn't there. The sound of him breathing, if you especially if you're listening with headphones, even when it's just a close up on the two of you, you can hear the inside of the horse mask in the background. When they pulled the things off, I added that sound too.
There was like loudest towels ever.
That's also like one of the last scenes we filmed for the whole season.
Truly, I loved it though. It was cracking me up. I was like, nice.
Yeah, and this scene has one of the best, I think, like uses of or examples of like editing stock music to fit perfectly within a scene. Because it's just the right vibe for the whole thing. It's kind of like you're at a spa. It's kind of like you're listening to easy jazz, but it's also kind of modern. I don't know. I really like this scene. It's really cute.
It was fun. And it was a really fun day, like few days, like for that episode. There was just like, I felt like every scene of that I filmed had some kind of crazy story between that and the Anthony's voice in the other scene when we I kept just losing it and not being able to do the scene.
Anthony Smith was reading the lines. For the corpse of Molly.
Right.
And he was doing this ridiculous voice.
I will say, in like all of my career, I feel like Anthony's the only one who's ever made me break so much.
That's funny. We should definitely add that as a SideKick extra.
I think it was there in one of the bloopers that we did. It's just me laughing nonstop.
I think it was, yes.
Yes.
Because we did bloopers for the Demon Doctor premiere.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's funny. I do remember that now. Yeah.
And there's very few of me because I don't make many mistakes. But I was definitely laughing.
Mark's nickname is Mary Poppins because he's practically perfect in every way. So.
Exactly. Oh, that's.
And he carries an umbrella that he sticks up people. So.
And so just call me Mary.
Mark,
something about Mary.
This character, we're about halfway through season 2, and obviously what you said earlier, kind of the will they want they moment that we just showed here. What do you feel like from your perspective on Mark's character and Detective Basim? Like, what do you feel like he's like? How are you playing it? As far as how you like. I guess the real question is like, where do you think that relationship is going without giving away any kind of spoilers or anything?
It's interesting because I think I learned a lot about Mark. I learned more about him this season than I did the first season, like just backstory and personality wise. And so it's allowed me to play a lot more. I think in season 1, he was so focused on Gourmand and so focused on that relationship, and as well as his friendship, that it just like to go into a place where he's like, oh, now I'm in a non-monogamous situation and with this person, and but here's somebody over here and here's somebody over here. Like, it was a very different feel for him, and I think that a lot of this season has been about letting go, where the first season he was very driven by what's happened in his past and using that to kind of push him through to finding out, like, are there monsters in the world, and are these horrors real, and then to be confronted with that and realize they are, and it's just part of a normal world. That's kind of where he's at right now, where it's kind of like anything can happen and he's just going to roll with it. There's a lot of things, I think, with the episode where we were when you're drawing the signs on me, and then Murphy walks in. Like, even for that, like, I don't think season 1 Mark would have been like, yeah, sure, okay, cool, like, take my fluids. But season 2 Mark's like, yeah, go ahead, let's go for it. And so it's been a very different journey this time. And so I think because of that possibility is definitely there. I think that there's a connection with Derek and an attraction there, but also dealing with this person's not human. Is this something that he could do? And I think he can. I think he's ready for that.
Yeah. Josh, does that kind of track where you feel like the character has kind of been going?
I do. I mean, I think that whenever you're writing the first season of a show that you plan to hopefully do for multiple seasons, you don't quite know how everyone will gel together. You don't know how the characters are going to come across. And I learned a lot from the first season that helped me write the second season better. I learned more about what I learned more about what to lean into for Mark to make Mark have the most opportunities for both comedy and for drama. And I think that I definitely think that Mark is there was so much of season 1 about letting go of his unfortunate fiance Jacob, and yes, the wolf attack and everything, but season 2 is and then Gourmand, of course, doing what he is and actually being a monster and everything, and then so season 2, it's like, okay, I'm not quite ready to call you my boyfriend, Murphy, but let's just see what we do and let's have some fun, and he gets around. I mean, he doesn't get around that much. He's still mostly monogamous with Murphy, but he's not committing to it. So
no, it's not. I think he's more open to it. It's yeah, it's a very different. It was very different playing Mark this season, and I think because he was so uptight and so like he didn't have an opportunity for comedy before. Like everything was very serious, and reading the scripts for season 2, I was like, oh, this is a very different take. Like some time has passed, and he's gotten used to this world and can be chummy with monsters, and not concerned, more just like, oh, cool, tell me more, like just more of wonder. I think where season 1 was more terror and concern, this has been more about wonder of like, what's next, how do I fit into this world?
Yeah. How can I get more of it?
Yes, exactly.
I want more. You know what that's from?
Oliver?
Someone wanting more?
No, it's every time somebody says I want more, I'm reminded of the Kirsten Dunst scene where she first tastes blood in Interview with the Vampire. And she turns around and she goes, I want more.
I have actually never seen that.
Listen, this weekend, somebody tried to tell me that I was wrong, and they were trying to say that Lestat was played by Brad Pitt, and Tom Cruise was playing
starts with a V, I think.
Yes, that guy, Louis. Yeah, and I was like, you're fucking out of your mind. There was do you guys remember the uproar when Cruise was cast as Lestat?
I'm too young to remember those sorts of things.
I don't remember it either. I watched Disney movies until I was like 13. So it's literally all I watched.
Anne Rice was not pleased that Tom Cruise, if you're in the comments tonight and you can relate, let us know. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of people I thought would remember this, but I guess maybe I'm the only person that loves Interview with the Vampire. It's also been dragged a bunch, because for various reasons, but I feel like it is actually, a really good movie. Lest we forget, I think it was the first movie that Neil Jordan directed after The Crying Game. So, and it's, Interview with the Vampire is a queer love story. So
that's why the TV series is so queer.
Well, and from what I understand, miles better than the movie. But since you've never seen the movie,
I just watched what was it, Bram Stoker's Dracula for the first time, like earlier this year. Yeah, like I was terrified of scary movies growing up. I
Really?
was 100% terrified. Like I thought there was a theater in my town that played the Rocky Horror Show, and I was scared of that. I was scared of The Sign. I was scared of the Little
Sure.
Shop of Horrors cover because the giant plant. I was like, well, I didn't know it was a musical until I was like 15. Like I was terrified of anything that had the word horror, terror, scary. No, want nothing to do with it. Give me my rewatch of Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, and even like I want to say Jurassic Park was the first movie I saw as like it was a PG-13 movie. I had just turned 13. It was the first time I went to a movie and was like, oh, this is cool, this is exciting, and then started going back. But a lot of the like horror movies I didn't watch until much later in life. And then it was just kind of like, why was I terrified of this? Like, I just thought they were just the worst things in the world.
And now look at you. You're turning to a queer horror icon.
Exactly. That's the goal.
I love it. You know, as you guys were talking about season 1, season 2 differences, Josh, I wonder how much that conversation that we had the other day when not Dominic, who was it that was on?
Hamish, I think.
Hamish, where you kind of didn't realize that it was funny. And I'm curious how that affected your writing for season 2.
Well, I think it affected it a great deal. I mean, I'm not as surprised at this point that I was really shocked when we were in the way station watching the first 3 episodes and people were laughing. And I was really confused by that because I'm like, this is a horror series. Why are they laughing? Why are they laughing? They're not supposed to laugh at this. And then I realized that what we had written was a horror comedy. And my natural instincts for camp can't be fought, apparently. So that definitely brought this in. I mean, I think it allowed all of our characters to be a little bit more fun this season. In some senses of it, like it was not everything had to be so serious and so tropey, and so I'm a scary Gourmand was very stiff in season 1, and because he was a trope of a scary monster kind of guy, and Genevieve was very sinister, but not like campy sinister, and Barth was very dark but not like there weren't enough jokes that were sort of like taking the piss, if you will, out of it. So, and I think we leaned into that. So go ahead, Mark.
I think we had that similar moment because as I was watching it and watching the reactions and watching people laugh and like enjoy the fun of it, I didn't have any fun. Like my character never had fun throughout most of it. Like he was upset or drunk or desperate or like trying to make a relationship happen with Gourmand, and it was always a sense of desperation in this character, that it was never about like finding the happy moments.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was watching it, people were laughing and this and that. I'm like, was I just in a different show? Did I not understand the assignment? I remember thinking that, like, oh no, I didn't do anything funny. Like,
I just wanted to melt into my chair and die because I'm like, why is everyone laughing right now? I don't understand it.
And it wasn't a matter of laughing at it. It was a different thing. But I think also it's what the audience expects from you at this point too, because it's like Skeleton Crew is a soap opera, but it's also really funny. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's one of the reasons I enjoy doing it so much, is because I get to play more than I've ever played before with that show. It's like, oh, what are we doing now? Okay, cool. Diaper, awesome, let's do this. And so there's an expectation there. And I think there was some of that, oh, here's something new. And then we're like, wait, oh, okay, here's a joke. And they found the funny for us.
Yeah, no, they did, and that helped us find it for season 2, I think. So,
mm-hmm.
But again,
season 2 is about letting go and just enjoying.
But again, with A Taste of Youth, I really think, again, I tried to resist the comedy of it. I tried to. If you remember some of the earlier drafts of the scripts, they were a lot more serious, I think, and we didn't have so many of the campy moments in it that we do. Not that it's a campy film or a campy horror film or anything, but it's I think it's more fun than what it was in the first drafts, because I was so stuck on making a horror movie that I lost that just make a movie that's fun for me and for you to play. And then
and I think also the collaboration with everybody, like everyone brings what they bring to the table, and we have in SideKick like a really natural group of comedians that are just naturally effortlessly funny. I mean, being in a room with Ashley at any point is hysterical and fun, no matter what we're doing, and any of them, it's just really it's just fun, and so I think that natural comedy comes out from that. Exactly.
I have like 100 minutes of footage of this, just two of you just keep not ending a scene and just keeping going and everything.
Yeah, like it is ridiculous fun to banter with Ashley, and to like it brings up the old improv chops again. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you said something funny, I'll say something funny, or you say something funny, like just constantly keeping it going. It's wonderful.
And Mark and I are going to film in 2 weeks a new project that we've been working on, and I think that'll be it's again a different series, but I think there's still going to be fun in it. So
that's the joy of SideKick, is finding the fun. It's always been fun. Like this. However long, I don't know, 20 years we've been working together now, that it's flown by, because it's every day has been fun. Even on the worst days when you're falling out of a tub and smashing your phone, it's still a joyous day.
Oh, daddy issues. And we barely used any of that footage.
I know. And, you know, Mark-Eugene, we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of the release of the musical
in December.
Yeah, the cast album came out the first week in December. Right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And Daddy Issues just crossed 100,000 views on YouTube. So
yes, that's amazing. That is fantastic, and that again, so much fun, and a wonderful new experience of doing a musical in the cast album. I loved it. On that side of it, usually I'm on the writing side of it. So
you're a joy to work with and all of that.
It was like being in the booth was like, what?
I'm still trying to get Nakia to agree to do a Demon Doctor musical with me. So
yes.
Well, it's not that I disagreed doing it. I just want to make sure that it's like with Dueling Pianos, all cards on the table. It did change multiple times. And
we realized the script was wrong when we
but then we had to kind of shoehorn songs into the new script, right? And so we had to change a little few things here and there. But my point is, I want it to be what you and I do so well. And we clearly have shown 4 episodes ago when we wrote Monster
Magnet.
Yeah. Monster Magnet Live.
You go back and look at a couple episodes of SideKick Power Hour ago, Mark. We were writing basically Mark's first song from Demon Doctor the Musical. So
nice.
It's called
Monster Magnet. Yeah. You know, it's and the longer that we teased it out, the more we realized it wasn't just Mark Basim's song. It was like this big group number that we could kind of introduce a whole bunch of different people at the start. So it actually might even be like the opening of the whole thing, because it kind of has like adulting potential, but with the focus really being on your character, right? Know, with adulting and in the final version of Dueling Pianos, it had changed because originally that's not how that went at all. It was
originally that was an Ashley solo.
It was an Ashley song, right? It was a whole. So in this way, we won't have to change it back to make it a group number. It would start as a group number.
Right.
So I think it's going to be really fun.
But speaking of musicals, since we have Mark here, Mark did just release have a musical mounted that he
mounted.
Yeah, he mounted a musical.
been mounted. Are you talking
Well,
Shining and
tell us
Misery?
all about it.
I am talking about Mr. Shining.
Shining and Misery. It was in Madison, Wisconsin. It is a parody of all things Stephen King. And it involves the Torrance family as well as their nanny, Annie, and the mysterious man that they find in an overturned car as they head up to the Overlook hotel for the winter, and all kinds of crazy shenanigans happen. But it's every King, every possible King reference we could shoehorn in there. We did, but it was a pandemic project that we worked on. One of my collaborators I met at opening night because everything was done via Zoom, and they were in Wisconsin and I was here. And then even just going over there to seeing it, being so just like terrified that no one has seen this before. This could go any way. And it was just wonderful. Like the audiences like ate it up. The reviews were fantastic. Now we got to find a new home for it. Our cast was so freaking good. Just everything about it was absolutely wonderful. I've been sneaking Josh little clips of it so that he could see the journey. It's a lot of fun, and it's never been something that I thought I could do parody, just because usually like for as freewheeling and jokey as I am, my work's usually pretty serious, and so a lot of it's like, oh cool, like what is the most serious or smartest or wittiest thing a character can say right now. And with this show, it was like, what is the stupidest thing that I can say? What is the stupidest rhyme? The stupidest lyric? Because that's kind of the fun of it, of poking fun at the wonder of Stephen King plots, but also the ridiculousness of the situations of like, what, this hotel is haunted and you buried your child in a grave and he came back as something else, and like there's so many different things that are just wonderfully ridiculous in the King universe that it was just fun to riff off of that.
I love that. I love it. I mean, I will say as a kid I read a lot more Stephen King stuff and was a more kind of avid fan, but as I got older and lazier and busier, I definitely fell off of the King wagon, and I've been trying to find like a good podcast about Stephen King to like get back into it, and also maybe absorb some more information about it. He once wrote me a letter when I was a child. I had to and one of my assignments was to write a famous person and see if they would reply, and I wrote Stephen King, and he replied. And I have since lost this letter, but it was a very sweet form letter that then had a smaller thing attached to it that he hand typed.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then hand signed. And I wish that I could find it somewhere. But anyway, it's in the same like memento book that has my pictures with Warrant and Winger and Kiss, my letter from the guitar player from Danzig. Anyway, so I just found there's this podcast that Fangoria produces. It's called the King Cast. And I think Brian Fuller has either been on it or he produces it or something. So anyway, that's been added to my queue. So if you're looking for more things King out there, folks, Josh, have you done a straight up parody at all?
Well, the first show that SideKick Productions ever produced was a parody of fairy tales. It was called All Folked Up. So
okay,
yes, I have. And there's actually a song I wrote in it too. It's so what basically it's All Folked Up is Cinderella, who learns lessons from her friends by hearing other fairy tale stories, but they're all super fractured, fucked up fairy tales.
That's actually a really good premise. Who wrote this?
Joshua R. Pangborn did. And it's they're all super queer and super. There a lot of this. I wrote this as my junior thesis in college, so a lot of my early me is very fresh in there. It's very raw, but it's very very me. So.
Okay, well, we have to have a whole separate discussion about this because that sounds like a really good idea for an actual staged musical. So,
and it was it's basically 6 or 7 actors playing about 35 characters. So
it's fun. Gotcha.
Which is very similar to Shining. So.
Oh yeah, the 8-person cast. 8 people played so many different characters, and it got to the point that we were referencing the fact that they couldn't all be on stage at the same time because of casting and and costuming situations.
It was very, very Batboy. So.
Oh yay, good.
You're doing a production of Batboy here in Austin. I'm considering auditioning.
You should definitely. Oddly enough, I've been listening to Batboy for the past 2 days. Like, I love that show.
I love Batboy so much.
Yes. Did you ever see Lizard Boy? When I told you
didn't get to see that yet. No.
It was so good, so good.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, look at that!
If you want your very own Detective Mark Besson T-shirt, you can get it at SideKick Supermarket and have that on your chest.
Definitely. Who doesn't want me on their chest?
Everyone wants Mark-Eugene on their chest. So.
Well, I've really enjoyed having you on. I'm super glad that we got to cross over tonight with Chris Grace.
That was great.
You guys, the other thing that I didn't really think about is you both have right now have plays in production or in his case about to be in production that feature a play within a play.
Oh yeah.
Because his whole play is Chris Grace as Scarlett Johansson, and then Scarlett Johansson takes over as Chris Grace.
Oh, love.
Spoilers, everyone.
Yeah. So it's very meta, and it as he said earlier, it becomes this argument with himself almost, and it's really, really fascinating. But really, really hope to see a reading of one of these two. Now that they're out, we could just do can we license a reading?
Yeah, both my shows that are published, 8 Tales of Pedro and With Bated Breath, are both licensable and can be done anywhere, which is kind of fun. You can find them online. You can find them at the Drama Bookshop. They're both there on the shelves. TRW, Theatrical Rights Worldwide, has the rights for 8 Tales of Pedro, and Next Stage Press has the rights for With Bated Breath, which is my newest one. And yeah, so they're out there ready to be done.
So if a local community theater or whatever wanted to put on a version of 8 Tales of Pedro, they then pay a licensing fee to TRW.
Yes.
And then they send them X amount of scripts and
the rights and kind of the rights and restrictions of the production.
Right.
And then they do it, and then I get a letter and I get to go see it.
So do you kind of anticipate, are you ever going to be involved in like any of the, like if you hear somebody's doing it, are you going to like try to get involved in before it comes out and be like, hey, I want to kind of come to a rehearsal? Or
I am available,
right,
if they would like that. But I also I'm at that point where I don't need to be. Right. Now that it's out in the world, they don't need me anymore.
And isn't it kind of the point that you want to see other people interpret your work, and then you can then decide if you want to see it or not?
Exactly. I work really hard so that I can sit home and watch Netflix while the shows do all the work for me.
Exactly.
It's just a lot of work in the beginning, and they do the rest afterwards. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to those productions, because it also, you never know, maybe I'll see something that inspires something in that show or a future show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark-Eugene Garcia, thank you again for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you again, of course, for being a very vital part of the Crewniverse, that we are super, super proud to have you hanging out, doing your thing with us. And really excited for everybody to see the next episode of Demon Doctor. If you are a Patreon member, you should be getting that on Sunday, as long as what is it? Lord willing and the creek don't rise. I literally sent Robert a message today that said, by the way, I'm on deadline for Demon Doctor this week, so all of my free time is belongs to Josh. So he was like, oh, okay.
That's Josh's love language.
Exactly. It literally is. Yeah.
My love language is making art with people.
Totally. And my love language is sex. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think you are. No.
I thought love was your safe word.
I enjoy sex. One of the things I wanted to talk about with what did you say?
I thought love was your safe word.
That's a really good line.
I have to give credit where it's due. It's stolen from a playwright I love named Duncan Flaster. He used it in one of his shows.
That's really, really good. That's really, really good. Well, I will use it in a song. that absolutely needs to be taken and used in another way. But one of the things that I was going to say is, when Chris was here in the crossover, I wanted to kind of take a quick moment to kind of dip into just like how everybody is so sex positive, and the fact that, you've been in full nude productions. Chris, and I both, perform at clothing optional events, all this sort of stuff. But I do feel like, it is really nice to work with people who not only understand, the assignment and show up and do the work, but also understand how, important it is to present that work in a way that is positive, but it's also behind the scenes. What people don't see behind the scenes is it's not like we're just putting on, like, this is how we live our lives, like we're all really sex positive people, we're all really fat positive people, like we strive to do these things in real life. And I just really appreciate that about you and so many of the people in the Crewniverse, and so I just wanted to share that.
Same here. I think it's there's something really wonderfully honest about all of the SideKick productions in that they are just completely open and honest with everything there, with everything, whether it's positivity with sex or fat or anything. It's just part of the universe. And I think that's the thing, is that's it's just something that makes it, I don't know if you said it was unsuccessful or so on, that that I think some audiences may not have had that, may not know, and so it's like they have to be like spoon fed, which might also be a kink. I don't remember the ABCs, but like spoon fed a little at a time of what these are, and with Josh, it's like, no, this is just the world. This is the world we live in, and you have to, and like it's your job to catch up. And I think that's something that I've never experienced before either until this. Was like, oh, okay, cool. We're just gonna say it. We're just gonna talk about the the prep that goes in the bottoming. We're just gonna talk about the different kinks that are in the world, like all of those things that are regulated to a corner or to the shadows or to the dark or to a little innuendo in something else. It's just like, no, this is just our dialogue. This is just how we're going to talk and live our lives. And I learned a lot from that first year of working with you all. And it just kind of, it opened doors for me even. Not like kink wise, I'm still vanilla, but it opened doors in other places.
He says that, but he's got a whole closet full of diapers. So
they're all costumes. I never wore the same one twice.
I know that it's no secret to the two of you, but maybe to the folks at home, I'm always actively campaigning that Simon should get cooler diapers. There are cooler diapers in the ABDL.
It's I think that what we've learned with that in the as I wouldn't say I'm a diaper expert. What we've learned is that, especially with a musical episode, it was that dance and movement is a situation when it comes to the diapers, because I think they're definitely designed for what they're designed for, but they're not always designed for pirouettes.
Right.
And so you have to find the good halfway point, that good line, and straddle it.
Well, thanks for straddling us this evening and hanging out. We really appreciate it. And we will be seeing you in episode 6 of Demon Doctor this Sunday. And don't forget, folks, you can head over to patreon.com/sidekick productions to take a look at that. And we're going to take a look as we're sending you out at the Dueling Pianos trailer. And we will be right back after this message.
You can call yourself a chubby chaser, even if you're not a twink. You wanna hurt me? Well, I say yay.
Hey, sex is the best sex. That's what they say. I'll say it once. I'll say it twice. So listen to my advice. Come here, just a little bit closer.
I'm a laugh machine, I'll leave you tickled pink. Let's clown around if that's your king. We can clown around if that's your king. Yes, you can say that I've got daddy issues.
Oh, man. What a nice treat to have Mark-Eugene on with us.
It is always a treat to have Mark-Eugene anywhere around me. So
yeah,
he always makes it so much fun to be doing anything. So
I agree. And super sweet. And really nice, again, that we got to have Chris and Mark-Eugene in the same episode. I think that was your idea.
I think so.
Yeah, it was a good call. Yeah, it was a good call. Yeah. So if you were going to pick one of Mark's plays to put on, or just do a reading of, what would it be?
Well, since we, I think that the Sidekick audience would enjoy With Bated Breath, probably.
Okay.
I think that's the one that I mean, I think they'll enjoy all of them, but I think the one that is a natural fit for something like a reading on Sidekick Power Hour would be With Bated Breath, for example.
Okay.
Although Mark has a lot of other plays that haven't been published yet that are also quite good too, so it's hard to say.
It's hard to say.
But my instincts right now would say With Bated Breath.
Okay. Well, we got to check into your connection issue, because several times tonight you went out audio wise, and then earlier on we lost you in video. So maybe somebody's siphoning off your Wi-Fi.
No, I know. We got a new router the other day, and we thought it would be strong enough that I didn't have to do the extender, but apparently it is not strong enough so I had to put the extender on at the beginning of the show. So
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad we got that taken care of. What we don't have taken care of is I'm still waiting on confirmation for the second guest for next week.
Who was our first guest?
Our first guest for next week is Kyle McIntyre.
Kyle McIntyre.
Yep.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Everybody will remember Kyle when you see him from this viral commercial that he went viral for. Really happy that he's going to be coming on the show. He's going to be talking about all that. And he's putting out new music. And so we're going to get to hopefully play some of that for you.
Maybe that other musician that I mentioned to you would be a good fit for that night.
That's not a bad idea, since I still have not heard back from some of these other folks. So I'm going to put another message out to Miss Ginger Minch.
Ginger posted the other day. Today's, I think, International Drag Day or something, isn't it?
Was that today? I thought it was yesterday.
Maybe the days are blending together in my head. I'm not sure. July 16th. You're right. It was yesterday. Well, happy International Drag Day, y'all, anyway.
Yeah. Ginger's doing a whole summer of P-Town shows.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've never been to P-Town.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, that you've never been, because I think that we should have some kind of something there next year for Bear Week.
If only it weren't in July.
I don't care that it's in July.
Well, I can't go.
Well, but you can if you plan in advance.
I mean, I guess I could go for the weekend.
Yeah. So you couldn't do like a week-long show in July.
I could not do a week-long show in July.
Okay. My disappointment live on air.
I'm often disappointing Nakia, and now you can see it.
That's so
live.
not true. That's so not true.
But what I'm not disappointing you on, Nakia, is I have confirmation that the dates you asked me about will work. So.
Oh, okay, great. You can tell everybody. That's fine.
Well, Nakia and I have been trying to figure out what dates Nakia can come up here to film his role in our new project that we're working on, because it can't be a SideKick production anymore without Nakia in it too. So. And now we've settled on those dates because I got confirmation from somebody else who's going to be involved for that shoot. So, huzzah!
That means I need to buy plane tickets. Okay, yes, I'll get on that tonight.
You do that.
Anything else that we need to cover in our last 5 minutes?
Well, it is International Drag Day yesterday. Did you want to say anything about the Fame game?
Yeah, I do think that this week's episode, for folks who don't know, we're talking about Drag Race All-Stars
8.
Hey Siri, stop music in the studio. I do feel like it actually was one of the better episodes of the season. And I say that because we did get to see all the girls perform in some way, minus Heidi in Closet.
You did get to see them perform.
Well, some of them weren't as good as the other ones, but they all did mostly pretty good. I know, a lot of people dragging Monica Beverly Hills for soak. What is it? Soak and clock. I don't know.
Clock in the soak or whatever it is.
Yeah, but the thing to remember about Monica Beverly Hills, and she said up front, it's a house song, and if you view it from a house lens, it's actually a really good house track. So, but anyway, is she my favorite on the show? No. Did I enjoy her last Friday? Actually, I think I enjoyed her more last Friday than I did on the first episode that she went home on. So, anyway, I didn't like Darian's stand-up that well. I felt like the critiques were good. It's hard for me because I feel like I also have recently lost a bunch of weight, and I'm struggling with like what my body is going to be instead of like worrying about what it is. I guess I keep like thinking, should I gain more weight? Should I lose more weight? What should I do? And I guess it kind of like put me in this headspace about about like self-deprecating fat jokes and like why I don't know, it just didn't feel I didn't get a good vibe from her.
Well, keep in mind, Darian is from a period of time when that's what fat comedians did, is self-deprecating fat jokes.
Right.
The thing that feels like about Darian is that Darian hasn't evolved her set with the times, or her body, in fact.
Yeah. Just I was not happy with it. I thought that it. Plus, I guess I was looking for something different from Darian, but anyway, Did you have a favorite from the variety show?
I mean, other than Jimbo, you mean?
Yes, because Jimbo couldn't compete technically, because otherwise he would have won.
I mean, whatever. Jimbo's was Jimbo. What Jimbo did with the ice cream was what that person who from last season tried to do with the ice water.
Right. That's so true. Yeah.
So, and what Willow Pill did with the spaghetti and everything. So.
I think out of Jimbo's and Willow's, I still prefer Willow's.
Oh yes, of course. Willow's
Jimbo's was brilliant.
Yeah. I liked James's the best after Jimbo. I really thought James was great, and I probably would have picked Mrs. Kasha Davis for the other one, because I never would have expected that kind of thing from Mrs. Kasha Davis.
Right.
Mrs. Kasha Davis gave me something that I would not have expected from her, whereas Lala and most of the other queens gave me what I expected from them. But James and Mrs. Kasha Davis gave me something unexpected.
I think those are my two favorites from the. If you take Jimbo out, those are my two favorites.
Yeah.
And then Lala Ree after that, and then Alexis Michelle.
Yeah, Alexis did. I mean, they did a good job. But there was nothing special or unique about most of them. And then a lot of them felt like the same thing, like just another girl lip syncing to another track.
Yeah.
But either way, I was pleasantly surprised that James was in the top.
I was too, and I was very happy that they won the lip sync. I just, I liked James from day one. I've always thought James was quirky and cool. I love how James has represented the BDSM community this season.
And there's been a lot of sex positivity on this season, actually, with Alexis Michelle and with James especially. So, but that being said, that's about it for the night.
I think it is, and I just sent Ginger another text to see if we could get Ginger on.
Well, if you don't hear from Ginger, we've got that other person you could reach out to. So
yeah, I would say go ahead and reach out and secure it, and if not, offer them one of the other dates.
Okay, I'll see what we can do.
Yep. All right. Well, then we will see everybody next Monday when we will have Kyle McIntyre and a mystery guest, or we will do what we did the last time we had Z Machine on, and we'll just write some songs or write our Edinburgh show or something right here in front of y'all.
Or work in my tight 10.
We definitely need to work on your tight 10. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of SideKick Power Hour. My name is Nakia.
My name is Joshua R. Pangborn.
And we are waiting for you in the Crewniverse. Come join us over at patreon.com/sidekick productions. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
And that's the tea.